If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling listener. Dave Ryan here. Have you ever wondered to yourself how many hidden gems are hidden away inside the last years of World Championship Wrestling? Have you ever asked yourself how many tenuous gags can be made about the name Mike Enos? And have you ever thought about what it sounds like for two Irishmen to interpret a very chaotic company through its B show? The answers to all this and more are just a click away. Check out Days of Thunder every second Thursday on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network.
Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Friday, 9th of January 2026. This is episode 394. Damon, where are we at? Are we finished? Is the podcast dead? Are we ready to walk away from Shin Nihon Pro Wrestling?
As the great Scott Simple Minds would say, we're alive and kicking. No, we're back. We're good, and I think I don't know. Look, we're just skimming the surface of the pool here. One, it's wonderful to hear your voice again, and that everyone's safe and sound. But nope, I think I couldn't be happier in the position that we are in, not only from Wrestle Kingdom, but Dash and the post presser, so to speak. After I feel we are, when we closed out the preview for Wrestle Kingdom, we were excited with the idea of, hey, you know what? If they're able to accomplish three things, they hit a grand slam. I mean, just fantastic. If they could do two, we would be doing cartwheels. But not only did they do that, but even little things on the undercard and kind of major things on the undercard they did. Listen, are there things that I'm going to wag my finger at a little bit? Of course. It wouldn't be us if we didn't. And we want to be fair to the good listeners who support us and who listen every week for riveting New Japan Pro Wrestling content. But I got to be honest with you, I couldn't have been happier. I couldn't have been happier when that weekend ended to say, wow, we're back. Like there have been times where you're kind of like, all right, we're back, but, the future doesn't look bright. Or we're back, but no. I mean, I feel like finally the boat and the sails have been set on a course that makes sense, and I think we're all pretty happy and excited. Excited is the key word of what is to come. So, again, we're going to get into it. This is probably our biggest show of the year. Added to the fact that Joel got back jet lagged and weary as he is. He's ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to rock and roll. I know the listeners are ready to rock and roll. So, yeah, there's not going to be a lot of dick jokes in this one. We got too much to talk about. I'm excited. I'm super thrilled. No, podcast is back, and watch out, everybody, because now we're excited, and the shows they're gonna pick up.
Yeah, like over the last few years, we've been kind of sifting through shit to try to pick out, the odd diamond here and there, like really squinting to see it. Like, well, this could be good if this person tries their best and they book this person the right way. And yeah, it's been a lot of rubbish over the last few years, but it feels like the first time in a while where it's an unqualified success. And everyone's saying it. This is not like just the new Jihadin saying, oh yeah, it's good now. Everyone's saying it. Like the consensus is New Japan's back. And It's a very, very exciting time to be a fan. And yeah, just a nice treat, a reward for us and our diligence and our hard work, not giving up. Plenty of other people would have done through the difficult times we've had over the last few years and the rubbish booking and the clap crowds and all that. But we stuck with it and got to the light at the end of the tunnel, and now we're here.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, it does feel good. And again, I think, like I said, I just want to hammer home that point of there have been times where, there would be a great match or even a great show, and you're like, okay, here you go. But you knew in the back of your mind, like, okay, is this a one-off? They have to continue this. And trust me, they still do. But you never really felt that, okay, we have a direction. We have a sense of here's where we're going. It was always these little things that they tried and little stop gaps and duct tape to kind of patch up a hole, a gaping wound. And, things just kind of felt like it got worse and worse and worse when it came to that. And you saw all glimmers of hope in 2025 and, a direction kind of being formed. It's kind of like, like a little science project where you're watching the amoeba, if you will, or the whatever, the cell kind of morph into another and into another. And the next thing you know, we have life. So, it's not just us too. There's a lot of people that have not only, outside of the company, but even with the company that are breathing massive sighs of relief after this weekend. We always talked about, it felt good with the idea of New Japan making some solid money off this show, right? The fact that ticket sales were selling like hotcakes and a packed dome. And, can they ride that momentum with smart decisions? And I think across the board, they did. Again, are we going to do cartwheels over everything? No, but that's pro wrestling, and that's let's see where. Look, let's put it this way. At this point, those little tiny minor things, I'm willing to kind of to cross that bridge because I know the bigger goal, and I see the bigger goal, and everyone sees the bigger goal. Yeah, look, January 4th brings out the best in everyone, but I still think like after that show, I let's put it this way, I didn't get the same feelings after the previous years with Kenny and Gabe on top. Everybody raved about that match. We all did. But you never really felt like we were moving in the right direction. We were hoping that Gabe Kidd was going to be this guy that you could hitch your wagon to. And again, during the year, it never really panned out. The cage match, the faction cage match. You felt like, okay, is this something that we can build off of? And it was just kind of like, oh, okay. And that, it just never really felt like we were getting where we needed to get to. And
like the big picture stuff wasn't there.
Correct. Yeah. It was just moments as opposed to
direction.
Correct. Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing. And I think that set a lot of people's minds a little bit at ease. Again, it's January 9th, right? We're only a few days removed. But like I really honestly and truly feel like we have something we can build off. We have a foundation that we can build off of, and we can move forward.
Yeah, just a real celebration of everything we love about New Japan Pro Wrestling and the fandom as well. I'd have to say thank you to all the patrons, people who got their fucking wallets out, put their money down and supported us, specifically me, over the last 12 months. I was talking off the air about Damon being so gracious as to allow that money to rest in my account to make all this happen. And thank you to everyone who has contributed. I hope you've got some enjoyment out of it, and it's brought a lot of joy to me and to my family. And just being there on the day, like you were talking about it, Damon, when you wake up on January 4th in Tokyo and you leave your hotel and it's a blue sky, the sun's shining, and you got that, crisp, chilly January air, and you got that little spring in your step, you got the Wrestle Kingdom theme playing in your head, and you're sort of bouncing on your way to Suidobashi towards the Tokyo Dome, and being there for the podcasting summit with all the wonderful people we met there. So Jeremy and Josh from Keeping It Strong Style, Josh from We Work Stiff, Jeremy from Speaking of Strong Style. I'm going to have to do the whole roll call, aren't I?
You sure are.
So our friend Floyd from the Social Suplex Network, we're in our matching Hot Pink Podcasting Summit t-shirts. It was great to see him again. Last time I saw him was at Madison Square Garden when he was wearing a Super J-Cast t-shirt. So great to see him. Daryl, who brought me some crisps, some all dressed crisps. And I was actually thinking of buying some on the day before I saw him, and he gave me a massive bag of them, which provided the I was munching my way through them in the Tokyo Dome all the way through the show, so that was very welcome. All the other people, Kyosuke we met, people from the Discord, Andrew, Arametha, the Voices of Wrestling guys I was sitting with, John Carroll and Paul from the Emerald Flow Show, Trish, who wrote that excellent piece about the the Nakamura Okada match situation. It was great to see her. Everyone who just came up and bought me a drink or just said hello and what the podcast meant to them. That that's why we do it. This is this dumb fake sport which should be a source of infinite shame, but brought all of us nerds together from all different parts of the world. People from the UK, from the USA, from Australia, from New Zealand, from China, from Korea, for an absolutely unforgettable day, even before the first bell has rung, even before we step foot in the Tokyo Dome. An unforgettable day. Vibes were immaculate. And like I said, after 6 years of crap, we all keep giving our time and our hard-earned money to this company because we want New Japan to mean something again and to get that, that special feeling in your soul when the Tokyo Dome comes alive for a big moment, not like Naito and Sanada having a good match or Shota and Zack going a little bit too long or all the clap crowd dome shows. We've been craving a special Wrestle Kingdom since we were last there in 2020, Damon. There hasn't been one of that caliber since 2020. I'm sorry, that's the truth. There have been some good shows and some really good matches, but there haven't been any of those really special ones, the ones you just know when it happens. When you leave the Tokyo Dome, you're like, oh, that's an all-timer. And I really think we got that today. The last three matches on this show, they really stuck the landing. It was a day when, for me, the magic of pro wrestling came back. So, what more can we say than we're so back?
Yeah. So now I'm going to play reporter. And you just sit back and answer some questions. We got to get this all out of the way. You wake up. First of all, excellent job by your two little ones, who, as you were telling me before we hit record, how they managed a grueling travel schedule. Again, these are kids. And they came across they just were absorbed in it. And again, not the wrestling aspect, mind you, but just the travel and being there. And again, a 12-hour flight, a 5-hour drive, a train ride. There's a lot. These are kids, and they handled it, like champs. So I'm tipping my cap to your kids, because you could have gotten on this show and said, "Oh, what a nightmare!" But no, it was like they got to share in their dad's joy of not only the pro wrestling aspect. Again, they didn't go to the show, but just the idea of being that far away from home. So excellent job by them. Walk us through waking up. You're going to the airport. How you feeling? Just knowing that, okay, we're in for a little bit of a haul here.
But you just keep waiting for things to go wrong, basically. That's the kind of person I am. Like, it just seemed unfathomable to me that I could get my entire family from our home in deepest Devon to the first destination on our trip, which was Fraser's Ryokan in Fukushima. Like, that just seemed incomprehensible to me that I could do that I could get the four of us there safely in one go without anything going wrong. And it started, Damon, we packed the car up, ready to go, and the battery was dead in my car.
Oh my God.
So, we had to switch. Like, luckily we do have a second car, so first world problems and all that. So yeah, I'm just constantly sitting there feeling, that kind of uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach, just hoping that things don't go wrong. Yeah. So 5-hour drive from Devon to Gatwick Airport. We spend the night at the hotel, Gatwick Airport. Then I'm always uneasy about Chinese flights because I've been on enough of them to know they constantly get delayed or cancelled. I've had some terrible experiences with situations that have left me stuck at airports for 24 hours. So again, I'm just hoping, like, please make sure the plane leaves on time so we're not going to miss our connecting flights and all that stuff. And then, just having to explain to your 4-year-old son as he sits down in the airplane and he's like, "How much longer, Daddy?" And you're like, "Son, you're going to be sitting there the entire day. Yeah. This is a 12.5-hour flight. You're going nowhere, mate." Right. And him sort of kind of grappling with that and having to keep him entertained so he doesn't piss off everyone else on the plane. And look, he was really good, and there were lots of games to play, and we did activities together, and he had a good time and just enjoyed the interstitial moments as well. Like, he loved the travelators at the airport and the escalators and the lifts and all that. And I've been constantly putting over the magic of going to Japan to them. We've been playing Shenmue together, just the little things like, the drinks machines and the gashapon toys and the stuff that they've learned at school when we had World Explorer Day Japan, when I made onigiri rice balls with them and the rest of the kids at school, and they learn facts about Mount Fuji and all stuff like that, and going to Japanese restaurants in the UK and in Thailand where they've tasted the food, and I'm telling them about all the delicious stuff that they're going to have in Japan, and just having that worry that, is it going to live up to the amount of hype I've put into it and the amount of time and money we've put into it. So getting to got to Shanghai, like 3-hour layover there, that was fine. Had some nice dim sum. Esther got some chicken feet, and then on the plane to Narita Airport. And then when you land at Narita, then you kind of relax a bit. You're like, okay, I'm in Japan now. Like, it's everything's probably going to be fine now, because that's a country that's got their shit together when it comes to transport. So just getting there and being at Narita Airport and showing the kids the first drinks vending machine or the first gashapon toy machine.
Were they freaking out?
The first 7. Yes, of course. They want to buy everything. Right. Even taking them to the first little 7-Eleven at the airport, and they're seeing onigiri for the first time, and they're like, "Oh, it's onigiri." Just making those like neural pathways where they're making those connections between stuff that they've seen and I've taught them about and seeing the real thing. There is no substitute for that at all. And then getting the tickets, like getting on the Narita Express, the train that takes you from Narita Airport to Tokyo, and Japanese train rides are an absolute treat because they're as smooth as silk, always run on time. They're quiet, they're comfortable, the views are wonderful. And Esther and Arthur are sharing their little salmon onigiri and looking at the views. And I'm just like, we're so close and nearly there. Having to navigate Tokyo Station with a load of luggage and kids when you're not 100% sure where you're going. That's tricky, right? You know, rush hour Tokyo public transport it's a lot. It's a challenge. But, you know, I'm a Londoner. I've been through worse. So I managed to get our Shinkansen, our bullet train tickets, and then being on the platform where, you know your train is going to be arriving soon, and you can start to relax a little bit, buy some drinks from the machines. Esther having a can of warm corn soup, and Mally's going to the little shop there to get a box of sushi to eat on the ride. I'm bought myself a katsu sando, you know, those delicious sandwiches with the pillowy white milk bread and the lovely crunchy pork cutlet. And bullet train arrives, sitting down, and I know, okay, right, 1 hour 20 minutes, we're going to be in what's the place? So Shin Shirakawa Station. Fraser's going to be meeting us there. Then everything's going to be fine. And the train ride starts, and the sun's setting over Tokyo. You got the lovely, you know, beautiful oranges and pinks over the skyline, and then you just realize, looking out the window, oh shit, that's Mount Fuji. You've got the silhouette of Mount Fuji with the sun setting in the background, and Esther sees it, and she's like, Daddy, is that Mount Fuji? I'm like, yes, Esther. Yes, it is. She's like, wow, my dreams come true. And like, what a moment.
Yeah.
Then getting to Shin Shirakawa, Fraser's there, picking us up in his car, taking us to Family Mart so we can buy snacks and treats and stuff, and driving us through this beautiful snowy landscape, getting there to his ryokan, which is absolutely stunning, right? This is a must for anyone going to Japan. If I ever go, of course we're going to go back. We're going to go back multiple times, but you cannot, and I will not ever do another trip to Japan without staying at Fraser's ryokan. So it's Yugoya, so YUGOYA.jp. That's the website. They've got Instagram as well. And Fraser, just the most immaculate host you could imagine, like picking you up from the airport, driving you there, looked after us every step of the way, you know, cooking our food, cooking delicious Japanese food like beef sukiyaki and making breakfast for us, and taking us out for drives the next day. Took us to a place called Yanaizu, took the kids to a Pokemon play park, and just the most immaculate backgrounds you could imagine, with all the pillowy white snow up in the mountains. And like the ryokan itself, it's an onsen, it's a hot spring, where, you know, fully natural hot spring, you know, that volcanic water. So there's two indoor ones. There's a men's one and a women's one. And then you go through the building and out the back, like located in this like Narnia-esque, beautiful, pristine rural landscape with the, you know, the snow on the trees and the rocks and the river running through it. You've got this perfect little hot spring. Well, there's two of them outside actually, where you could not imagine anything more perfect than that. And, you know, you take all your clothes off, you get in there naked, and that just that moment where, you know, you're walking through the snow and you're freezing cold, and then you get into that hot spring and you're like, we did it. Yeah. We've made it. Not only that, like, we are making memories that are going to last forever. We're never going to forget that. And I tell you, Damon, like, next time I come to Japan, you have to go. Anyone listening to that, if you go to Japan, you must stay at this specific ryokan, because you are going to get looked after and you're going to have an unforgettable experience. If I book my next trip to Japan and there's someone already staying there, because it's a private ryokan, only one group can stay at a time. There's someone else staying there. I'm driving down there. I'm taking the bus down there, and I'm going to physically drag them out of the onsen and fight them naked in the snow. Because that's how much I need to go back there, and I know my kids are going to want to go back there in the future. Like, it's become an integral part of the itinerary. Any person, I was going to say foreigner, but, you know, anyone having a trip to Japan, you got to do it. It's so nice just to get out of Tokyo, as much as I love Tokyo, but just to see the other side of Japan as well. And we went to Yanaizu, just this, you know, sleepy little town in the mountains, and very sort of simple, very rural lifestyle. And we had a question from Doom FPL, says, what were your culinary highlights? He said of Tokyo, but this is not Tokyo. This was in Fukushima. So we were looking for somewhere to eat, and Fraser found a soba place, which is like buckwheat noodles. But as we got there, this was like the day before New Year's Eve, and soba noodles are very popular. Like, that's the customary thing that Japanese people eat on New Year's. It's got a lot of symbolic meaning to it. They'd already sold out. Like, they'd closed for the day serving customers in the restaurant. and were mainly doing orders and deliveries. Like, they're making the noodles and stuff to send to people's homes. So they said, "Oh, sorry, we can't. We're closed now." And we were sort of hanging around in the car park while Fraser was looking up somewhere else we could go and eat. And then they saw us looking all forlorn out in the snow outside the restaurant, and they came out and said, they couldn't speak English, right? There's two little old ladies and an old man, and they said, "Look, come inside. We'll make you something to eat."
Oh my God!
Just out of the pure hospitality and graciousness, they let us in. It was only us. They let us in out of hours and cooked us a meal. It was like really simple, just like soba noodle soup, like just the most perfect umami broth that you can imagine. They gave extra tempura prawns for the children. They gave us some of the mochi, like that kind of sticky, chewy rice stuff that they make for New Year's. Gave us extra of that, and taught us about how that's important for New Year's, and just looked after us so wonderfully for no other reason than just they were great hosts and wanted to be kind. And there were cats all over their restaurant. There's a little kitten there, so the kids loved it, and then they were hugging the old ladies at the end. So that really is going to stick in my mind. And again, this is the sort of magic you, listener, should, must experience when you next go to Japan. Because, New Japan is firing on all cylinders now. We're so back. We're back in the glory years, Damon. So book your flights now. Get in touch with the Yugoya.jp, and make yourself some unforgettable memories like I've done.
That is fantastic. Like, again, that's like, I'm not saying that if you go to Japan, you will have something like that happen to you exactly, but I'm telling you, those kind of things happen on every single trip I've ever been on. And I think, 5 times, 6 times I've been there. That just warms my heart. Like, that's the magic. That is what you just described is the magic of that trip. Wow, that is fantastic. Fraser's the best, by the way. Like what a dude. What a warm-hearted guy. Just like, I'm so thrilled for him, like having his dreams come true. Building that and the struggles that he went through to make that work, and fantastic. You know what? That just makes me super happy and thrilled. Now, you weren't the only people that were that used the facilities during the time of the trip, correct? Other people went, right?
Well, it was only us staying there for those 2 nights. Right. So we were there the 28th and the 29th. So it was exclusively ours for those 2 dates. But I know there might have been a couple of other podcasters who went to visit after we had left and returned to Tokyo, if that's what you're referring to.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering how they made out. Yeah, you hear any feedback on?
Yeah, well, look, I was going to say, Damon, I think we should set as a goal for the podcast to both of us get out there together at the same time to do a live podcast from the outdoor onsen, completely bollock naked, the 2 of us in the hot spring, video stream it, because the fucking cowards over at Keeping It Strong Style refused to do that.
Come on.
Poor young boy Josh, waiting there with his willy hanging out in the hot spring, waiting for his buddy and his podcasting mate Jeremy to come and join him. And Jeremy, the absolute coward, bottled it, refused to go in the outdoor onsen. So we've got to be the first podcast to do it, Damon, because they've fumbled that. So
come on, boys.
That's our goal.
Come on. Listen, nobody's got a smaller dick than me, and my dick will be fucking out there, my man. And it's not really out there. I mean, it's not like it's like, all right, come on. I was so disappointed when I heard that. I was like, come on, boys. That's all right. Look, everybody's shot.
Just think of the photo opportunity they missed out on. That could have been like the banner photo for the website, the Twitter page. Jeremy and Josh naked in the onsen with the snow in the background. That would have been perfect.
Of course.
You ruined it.
Oh, that stinks. Oh, well, listen, again, I'm not going to put undue pressure on people who maybe don't need it, but come on, when in Rome, get in there. Take off your pants. It's like the fucking Sopranos. Take off your clothes. No, I can't get in the hot. Take off your clothes. Oh, Paulie. All right, so okay, now let's fast forward a little bit. It's Wrestle Kingdom Day. Again, you wake up, the sun. I'm looking at photos. Sun is shining, and every time I've ever been there, it's never been cloudy. It's never been on that day. Every fucking year, the sun is shining. The sky is the brightest blue that it could be. Just like you described, a little crispness in the air, but nothing like, oh my God, the winds are just whipping. No, it's like just a perfect winter's day. It's not super hot. It's not super cold. It's winter time. Wear a jacket, of course, but like the vibes are high. We were in communication a little bit during that day. You texted me. Did you wind up going to that same ramen shop that we went to?
I didn't in the end. So what I did, I wanted to get some merchandise. So I went to the Tokon shop and the queues were going round the block. So I was like, okay, we're probably going to be here a while because I had to get some Tanahashi stuff. So I got myself a Tanahashi bag, Tanahashi tracksuit, which is like I'm the coolest motherfucker alive wearing that tracksuit. Wore it to school yesterday, nice. And I just every time I walked past a mirror, I was looking at myself like fucking ace. Look at me, I'm the ace now. So yeah, got myself a New Japan calendar, just some little bits and pieces, Tanahashi keyring. I just wanted to go all out on the Tanahashi merchandise. I've heard and saw Aaron Wolf merchandise, second biggest seller apparently, according to the metrics out there. So yeah, I should have got myself they call him Urufu. So I should have got myself some Urufu merchandise, but I dare say there'll be plenty of opportunities to get Urufu merchandise in the future. So yeah, got myself my merchandise, then went to the Tokyo Dome itself, and they got all the banners out, these flags of showing Tanahashi throughout all the different stages of his career, and just that moment where you walk over that bridge at Suidabashi, and you go past Korakuen Hall and TGI Fridays where the Tokyo Dome just comes into view between those two buildings, and you see it, and then you just get those chills down your spine, because I'm thinking back to the last time I was there when I saw Naito bring it full circle and defeat Okada, and just those chills down your spine where you just think this is going to be a special day. Like you can feel it in your bones. Yeah. That's going to be a good one. So I was just doing a little walk around the Tokyo Dome, saw Floyd and Josh and Jeremy, said hi to them. Saw Walker and Chris. Was going to go and talk to them, but they were filming the the pre-show thing. Someone says, Louis said, did you see you made the Wrestle Kingdom pre-show? I think you were just hanging out in front of the Tokyo Dome. Yeah, I was going to go and speak to those guys, but I didn't. They were filming something.
They're working.
Didn't want to disrupt them. Maybe they didn't want to see me. Who knows? But left them to it. Walked round to, I thought I'd get some lunch. I ended up going to the little supermarket there, got myself a little set of tuna sushi, and just sat on the bench out there with a warm, there's little metal cans of coffee, a little metal can of coffee, eating my sushi, enjoying the sunshine, just soaking up the vibes, building up my sort of social energy battery, for the meetup. Yeah, got to charge it a bit first, because the heart, I'm a bit of an introvert, so those kind of situations do cause me not a huge amount of anxiety, because I think I've done enough of them at this point to know they're always going to be great. And all the people turning up there, they might be a bit nervous too, but they're all cool people. They're all lovely, and we're all there for the same reason. It's not like going to parties where you meet a stranger and you're like, what the fuck are we going to talk about? Like, exactly what we're going to talk about at these kind of events. Sure. Everyone's friends there, and there's a safe conversation middle ground that everyone could enjoy. So yeah, headed over to the Hub, which is kind of like a London style pub, and that was it. From the moment I stepped through there and saw all the guys, Fraser was there, Josh, WeWork Stiff Josh was there, and all the other people that I've mentioned just hanging out. Estevan from the unofficial North American chapter of the New Japan fan club, treating us to some snacks courtesy of New Japan.
Oh, really?
Lovely little cup of Doritos. Yeah, that was very much appreciated to help with my glass after glass after glass of Soko ginger ale, Southern Comfort and ginger ale, which is a lovely combination. So quite a few of them, and yeah, just people coming in and saying hi, and showing their appreciation for the podcast and how long they've been listening, and chatting to them and asking where they've come from. Is it their first time in Japan, and how they're experiencing it, what they're looking forward to. Just absolute pleasure, and getting into some really interesting conversations, like the minutiae of the predictions about the show, what we're expecting, what our hopes are, best case scenarios, worst case scenarios. Just it flies by, and those kind of social situations that can make me quite anxious, but as soon as you get there and you realize you're amongst friends, then it's arguably the best part of the day. I saw some fucking great pro wrestling, some all-timers, some matches that are going to go down in history as some of the best ever. But that podcasting summit, the meetup at the Hub, is right up there as just a crucial part of the day in, the vibes and the excitement, the buzz that you get. Like, without that, there's almost no point in a way. It's as important as the show itself.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. All right, now, one, how many would you say of the people that you met and talked to and that were at the Hub, how many people would you say it was their first time?
About half,
really?
I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's like, I love that. Like, I love the idea of the wide-eyed first timers. They're just like, this is unbelievable. All of that. How long were you there? How long was the entirety of the meetup?
Close to like 2.5 hours, I'd say,
good.
Because I would have stayed longer, but the queues were starting to pile up outside the dome, and I had to go and meet John to pick up my tickets for the show. And they were at the Tokyo Joshi Pro show at Korakuen Hall. So at that point, we'd had a few drinks. Like, it was time to go.
Right, it's only going to go downhill from there. Yeah.
Right, everyone's like, right, guys, it's time to go to the fucking Tokyo Dome. Let's go watch some Wrestle Kingdom. You down your drinks and everyone heads out. It's like, a football match where you finish your last pint before you're going to head into the stadium.
Oh, so good. All right, so then, was it the first time you met a lot of the, like, everyone that was there in this summit? Was that the first time you met a lot of those guys?
So we met the Keeping It Strong style guys before, Jeremy and Josh and Floyd as well. We met them in New York.
Right. Yeah.
What is that, 7 years ago now? Christ. That's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, we met Jeremy and Josh at the Mark Hitchcock Memorial Show, if I'm not mistaken. So, we met them before. Never met WeWork Stiff Josh before, so first time meeting him. But not met Jeremy either from Speaking of Strong Style, so first time meeting him before. John Carroll, obviously,
met a million times. Yeah.
Met him loads of times. Met them. Dominion. We've been to Dominions. They were there at New York as well. Karaoke, that infamous karaoke session with Andrew Rich as well.
So great.
Paul, also, I've met him before in London. It was before one of the AEW shows on the banks of the River Thames. So, yeah, a lot of them I have met before, some of them meeting for the first time. But even the ones that you are meeting for the first time, it's weird, like, because I'm familiar with their voices, and like Josh, WeWork Stiff Josh and I, we talk a lot on WhatsApp as well. It doesn't feel like you're meeting them for the first time. And even the people that you've never spoken to or interacted with before, they feel like old friends when you're all sat around a table together talking about Shinihon, sharing some drinks and some Doritos courtesy of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Doritos.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you're meeting strangers. It feels like
they gave you Doritos.
Yeah.
Okay. Odd choice, but all right. Good.
Yeah. That's what a treat.
Yeah. That's crazy. All right. Of all things, Doritos. All right. So now, again, vibes are high. You're feeling good. You got a couple drinks in you. We're off to walking across the overpass bridge thing, I gather. You go up the steps, right? And then cutting across to the dome. You get in the air, you get your tickets and all.
So we're heading to Korakuen Hall first. So waiting outside Korakuen for the real sickos, the Tokyo Joshi Pro enjoyers, to come out, because that's where John was. So John had my ticket, and then quite a few other people. That's where I saw Arametha from the Discord and Trish, Social Suplex Network. Those are the real hardcores, the people who just had to cram in one Joshi wrestling show before Wrestle Kingdom started. So yeah, met John there, and Paul got the tickets. Then walking back around, and these queues are massive at this point, Damon, to the point at which I'm thinking, shit, am I going to get there in time? So this was about 2:45, and I know the Young Lion match is starting at 3:15, and I wanted to see that Young Lion match, even though it's just a Young Lion match. But yeah, really, really long queues. Now, they did move pretty quickly after they opened the doors, but it's that very sort of Japanese thing where you've got to find the end of the queue. You've got to walk really, really far, like walking literally halfway around the dome to find where the start of the queue is.
Yeah. I remember doing that once, and the thought in your head is, we're never going to get in here. But again, it's that efficiency that you'll find at every stop, and in anything that you do, you're just like, okay, well, we're in. So you get in, that initial depressurized rush of the dome. You get through the doors. What are you feeling? Are you just like, oh my God, I'm back? Thank God I'm back. Yeah.
But also the bit of anxiety, like, where the fuck are my seats? Because John got tremendous seats for us. We were Arena A. We were like row 13 or row 11 or something. We were really close. Like, you saw from the photos I sent that we had excellent seats. But actually, like, trying to find where they are is quite hard. Like, it's quite a long walk, because you have to go through the arena seats to get to the floor seats, and then you have to walk down, you show your ticket, and then they let you into the floor section. And so got down there almost in disbelief at how good the seats are and how close we are to the ring, right by the aisle where I thought it was the losing wrestlers. Then I thought it was the winning wrestlers. There didn't seem to be much logic to which wrestlers were walking down there. But, at the end of the match, some of the wrestlers were walking down that aisle. So they're walking like literally right past me, because I'm on the end of the row. And, I really wanted to get up and like high five, but no one else is doing that. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be the guy called Kuchin who's, embarrassing everyone and acting out. So I thought, I'll just, stay in my seat. But yeah, just sitting down there and realizing how close I was to the ring, and just taking in, looking around and seeing, like, this place it's full.
Yeah.
It's full. Like, there's 50,000 people in here. And the grandeur of the setup, like that sort of very regal with all like the curtains and the robes and stuff, really elegant setup. Like, the stage was tremendous, and that kind of echoey intensity that you get inside the dome, and looking up at the roof, and all the wonderful beer girls and drinks girls who are coming past and soliciting you for your drinks and your snacks and stuff. Just sitting there and soaking it in, thinking, this is Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
And there's nothing quite like it. There's no other show, no other promotion in the world can match those vibes of being in the Tokyo Dome on January 4th. Again, even before a bell has rung, before a punch has been thrown, just it's going to be special.
And you want to capture it, like, it's like you want to bottle it, because every second, it's like, oh, it's ending. You just want somehow time to stop. What were the vibes of the people in the meetup, and then outside? Maybe you talk to people, and like, what were the vibes going in? Was it, hey, I hope they can pull this off? Is it, hey, you know what, just give me Tanahashi and the rest can fall into place? Like what was the general feeling going in? Was it an anxious feeling? Or was it just like pure excitement? It's Wrestle Kingdom, whatever the fuck they do, I'm here, I don't care.
Cautious optimism. Mm-hmm. I think everyone knew that the main event was going to deliver. I don't think there were any real anxieties about that, but a lot of the discourse was about were Urufu and Yota Tsuji going to deliver? Because that was arguably the most important thing. Like Tanahashi, Okada, whatever, like they're both gone the next day. But a lot of prognosticating, like I said before, what are the best case scenarios for what Urufu's going to look like and that match? What are the worst case scenarios? Are we going to get AEW bullshit in the top two matches? Who is the X going to be for the United Empire? So yeah, just hoping, hope and optimism that things were going to go really well, but also sharing those fears and those worries. Like, this could also be a fucking disaster. Like, we could be looking at a show where Urufu shits the bed and looks like a complete embarrassment, and then Takeshita wins, Okada wins, and we end Wrestle Kingdom with the two AEW guys having a face-off in the middle of the ring. Like, that was a conceivable and a very real, tangible fear for a lot of people going into the show.
What was all right? So again, we're going to take it from your ass is in the Tokyo Dome. You're in your seat. You're like, holy fuck, I'm here. We're going to rewind. What was the highlight of all of the before your ass hit the seat of that day? What was the one thing that you're going to take to your grave?
Just that vibe of inside the hub with everyone together, all these different podcasts. And, like, the podcasting world can get a bit bitchy, right? Sometimes there is a sense of podcasts covering the same thing, that there's competition there, that you're rivals. And if another podcast is doing well, then, that's not a good thing for you, that you should be the best podcast. But there was none of that. It was just this sense of unity.
That's why that vibe wasn't there, because I wasn't there. I'm sorry. I'm going to get it.
Yeah, but like I said, just that sense that everyone's there for the same reason, that is the snapshot I'll have in my mind of us at the hub, sitting around that table, me, Fraser, the two Joshes, the two Jeremys, and all the other people who joined us. And yeah, just that moment of everyone being there and that sense of hope and excitement and that infinite promise before a big show or before a big match, where you just fill in those spaces and those gaps in your imagination with all these wonderful things that could happen. And you're hoping for the best. You're praying for those best case scenarios that you're imagining, and just soaking it in. Like, there's nothing that any other company on the planet can match. Like, it may not have been the best ever wrestling card from top to bottom, but when it comes to the aura and the prestige and the pageantry, nobody can touch New Japan Pro Wrestling on January 4th at the Tokyo Dome. It's a different beast.
Yeah. Now, even before the show, you talked to quite a few people who, are involved in the company in various capacities. What was the vibe from them? Like, what could you sense from them of where the day was going to go and where we are here on January 9th? Could you get a sense of excitement, or was it cautious optimism like everyone else? Or like, what was the vibe from that pocket that you talked to?
An acknowledgement that by and large the card for January 4th is a bit of a variety show, right? There were a lot of masters to answer to, so it was not necessarily going to be the Shin Nihon Freak purist bell-to-bell strong style action, right? There was going to be a little bit of everything, and some stuff that the hardcore viewer might not enjoy so much, but that wasn't the purpose, right? The goal here is to serve the not just the New Japan hardcores, but also the casual fans, the lapsed fans, the people watching on primetime television. A lot of talk about managing to fit everything into the time slots, and which parts of it were going to be cut and broadcast on the television. And to be honest, like anxiety about Urufu, like what that match was going to look like, because even people within the company were a bit worried about that, thinking, we've no idea what to expect here. This is a guy having his first ever wrestling match. This could easily go very, very wrong.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure there were quite a few nervous people there, and no doubt.
But and also a sense that you're going to get something very different the following day on January 5th, like New Year Dash. That's going to be more of the tone setter for what New Japan in 2026 is going to look like.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, after it was all said and done, you did get that feel. At least I can honestly say you got that feel. All right, again, we're going to talk a lot about the actual show. Don't worry, people. But let's fast forward a little bit. Show's over. And again, you don't have to get into too detail because we'll get there match by match. But what was the vibe after the show?
Oh, buzzing. It's absolutely buzzing, right? Normally, after these things, I'm exhausted. It's late. I want to get back to my family, get some food, go to bed. But I was too excited after it. And, I'm texting various people thinking, we got a debrief. We're going back to the fucking hub, guys. We need at least an hour, a couple of drinks to debrief, talk about what we've watched there. So, yeah, a bunch of us went back to the hub. Met Robbie Eagles there for the first time, which was nice.
Yeah, nice.
And yeah, just chatting to, other people, fans, podcasters, people working for the company, basically celebrating a job well done.
Did you thank Robbie for giving us all of the scoops throughout the year? No, sorry. Did I say that? That's awesome. Was it packed? It had to be packed, right?
Yeah, it was like kind of after party vibes.
Yeah.
Sense of triumph in the air.
Oh, that had to be great. So about what time did you get back to the hotel?
So I'm going to check my photo times here because the time I took the photo. So I headed back to Akasaka. That's where I was staying. I got there about 11. Stopped off at Yoshinoya because it was the only place that was open. It's a gyudon place. They do beef bars. So I had a lovely beef sukiyaki. I thought, you know what? It's 11 p.m. I can take my time here because the kids are going to be asleep. So I got back to the hotel about 11:30. They're all still fucking awake.
Really?
Yeah, watching Pokemon on their tablet. Smalley's up there, sifting through her shopping from that day. I'm like, oh, okay. Fine.
I know you're hoping you can just kind of sneak in, curl up in the bed. Everybody's all tucked in. Nope, you got to go through the whole routine. Now,
because part of me, Damon, was thinking, like, should I do some instant reaction audio?
We were talking about that.
When everyone was awake, I was like, you know what? This is not going to do it justice. I could have put something out, and maybe I should have. If you're expecting something, I apologize. But I thought, I don't want to rush it. There's so much going on. And the very next day, I was flying back to China and then the UK. So I thought anything that I did put out would have been under stressful circumstances, and you wouldn't be getting
a good show,
the absolute best analysis and the best audio, the best show that we could do. So we decided it would be better just sit on it, wait till I'm back home and settled in to do it justice, because it was a really special day, a special show, and I don't think rushing to force out some poor quality instant reaction audio would have been good for anyone, really.
Yeah, I know, and it was shocking to some people because I was like, I kind of was getting pumped up, right? And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll do something. Maybe I'll do like an instant thing. Just pop into my office, fire up, Zencaster and see what we can do. And even talking about it during the day, we had chatted and texted, but even afterward, we were just, let's just let it sit. I'm going to be exhausted. Like we're texting during the show, and it's 4:00 in the morning, and the show's not even 3/4 of the way done. And I'm like, I'm going to have toothpicks in my eyes. I'm going to be a zombie. And even before that, though, when I was having a chat with the great Chris Sampson, and he was like, listen, if you want to do something, I'd be more than happy to hop on. I was like, Chris, I appreciate it. I can't sit here and tell you that it's going to happen. Like, I just don't know how I'm going to feel. Because what happened was I went to bed at like 9:30, right? I popped an Ambien. Said, let me get some sleep and I'll set an alarm. Joe, that alarm woke me up out of a dead sleep. And I was like, wow. And I was very fortunate because Cheryl was at my brother-in-law's watching their dogs. So I had the house to myself. So it was just like, wake up, I'm in bed, pop on the TV in the bedroom, and here we go. Away we go. And I went downstairs and got some snacks. My bed was full of crumbs afterward. And then, watch the show. But yeah, it was like, let's hold off to now to do a proper wrap up and all that stuff. Well, listen, I got to be honest with you. I want to thank every single person who went in their wallets, found $5, $10, whatever it was, a month, and made this happen. So again, truly from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate everyone doing that. Continue to do that because I'd love to go too. And yeah, let's work on that. We can work on that. But thank you, everyone. Again, you helped make that happen. So thank you very much. And to you, sir, I am thrilled. Again, I was living through. I don't have an Instagram account. So Cheryl would give me updates throughout the day. I'd be like, "Oh, here's a new one. Here's a new one. Here's like a
David, they've got to the Capybara Cafe."
Yeah, I swear to God, like all of it. So I was living through those posts, and it was wonderful to see. And I was so happy for you. I was so happy for Allie. I was so happy for the kids. And then seeing pictures from the hub, I was like, "Wow, that is a decent sized crowd. Like that is a solid turnout." And it looked like you guys were having a blast. And I was like, "Oh, trust me, there was a bit of jealousy." I was like, "Oh, why did I have to be such a pussy? I could have found the money, or I could have found a way to get there. And yeah, I could have made it work." But look, next year, next Wrestle Kingdom, let's see what happens. Let's see how we do. Because yeah, it really did spark something in me that I got to get back there. So, good for you. I'm thrilled for you. Let's unless you have anything else to add, let's get into the show.
Let's do. I mean, big show, big numbers. 2.9 TV rating, 3.5 million viewers.
Excellent,
huge success. I mean, yeah. Let's get straight into it then. Here we go. Wrestle Kingdom 20, Tokyo Dome. I missed a large chunk of the Young Lion match. So you'll have to help me out on this one. Was it Murashima who got the submission win?
You know what? I think so. I'm trying to remember back. Yes. I think so. Yes. I mean,
with the sort of jumping up and down Boston Crab thing.
Yeah,
I think that was him anyway. But I mean, a Young Lion match is a Young Lion match. I missed most of it, but I think the big takeaway from that has got to be that these guys are ready for excursion because we've got the new Young Lions ringside from the Fale Dojo, and you'd imagine that guys like Shoma Kato, Katsuya Murashima, Daiki Nagai, maybe even Masatori Yasuda, they're ready to go. Right, let's send them out quick as we can because then we've got guys like Zane J and Matsumoto who are ready to step up to be the senior Young Lions. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to sort of weave in New Year Dash stuff as well because I don't think that necessarily warrants match by match analysis. But after watching what I saw from this match and what I saw at New Year Dash, I'm particularly excited about Murashima, who he was outstanding at Dash against Ishii. Like they were beat the crap out of each other and Ishii got all bloodied up. He had cut a really fiery backstage promo. He was just pissed. He was angry. He was angry at his lack of merchandise. He was angry at the cheating. He was angry at his own weakness. And just around the corner today, we've got the Young Lion coming up during the New Beginning tour.
Yeah.
Which looks like it could well be the send-off for a lot of these Young Lions. So he's the one. I thought Shoma Kato looked really good in that second match as well. But Murashima is the one coming out of that weekend that I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for this kid.
Me too.
So we did have a question about that.
Okay.
Mo Method said, do you think they should send Murashima on excursion to a Puro promotion like Big Japan, All Japan 01 instead of going to Mexico or the UK? Like just totally go all in on the beefy, screamy motherfucker style like a reborn Daisuke Sekimoto. Yes, I know he's still alive. Happy New Year. So yeah, what your thoughts on the Young Lions?
So I'm with you on that. So if we kind of jump to Dash, and we'll probably go in and out the entire show. Like that opening tag match was fucking fire, dude. And again, there's a lot of talent in that ring, mind you. Let's be clear. But like, yeah, we're ready. Like I'm ready. To answer the question, I love the idea, and I've said it before, that what an excursion does is not only teach you how to wrestle in slightly different styles and learn techniques in the ring, it also helps them become professional wrestlers, if that makes any sense. All of it that goes into it, all the things that you don't see. And I think that's important to build the camaraderie, to say that, yeah, okay, oh yeah, I've been there and that's a good place to eat, or, you know, this is how you get from point A to point B when you are in Mexico or in London or in whatever.
Or to get really fat off Greg's sausage rolls in England.
Right. You know what I mean? Like that's I think that's important in not only in building a professional wrestler, but building like a young man. And I think that when you sign up with the New Japan Pro Wrestling, I really hope that that's like one thing that the individual wrestlers get excited for, right? That the young talent gets excited for. So while I think there are pluses of, hey, you know what? Your excursion is with Noah, or your excursion is with whatever. You know, I do also think that there is something valuable that you lose if you don't do Mexico, if you don't do England, if you don't do Germany, if you don't do wherever. Because I think that is one of the things that separates, you know, New Japan from, and again, we'll just throw out of a hat, fucking, you know, like NXT. I really feel like that's an important part of becoming a New Japan Pro wrestler. So I would hope they do experience the excursion as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, you know, becoming a man.
Yes.
And having to sort out things like traveling in a foreign country and meeting new people and networking, meeting other wrestlers and, you know, meeting different wrestlers and laying out matches backstage and, you know, negotiating dates and things like that, which, you know, you do through the company, but, you know, you're sorting out your pay and budgeting and all those sorts of things that I think, you know, if you were to have a wrestler that just stayed in the dojo and then became a full-time New Japan wrestler, you'd lose some of that, you know, that roundedness, and those experiences can often be defining and help build the characters and the gimmicks of wrestlers, like after what Naito went through. And I know that wasn't his primary excursion, but that little stint that he did post Stardust Genius in Mexico was formative for him, and it helped him elevate himself and take the character to the next level. So I think all that sort of stuff is really important. So I'm very excited to see where these guys go, what they do. You know, I've heard some people asking, you know, would it be of value to have wrestlers go on excursion to AEW? And, you know, I'm not just doing this for my AEW agenda, but I don't think it's the right place to do an excursion, because there's, you know, highly experienced, decorated, critically acclaimed wrestlers who are struggling to get TV time on, you know, even their B show and their C show. So I wouldn't necessarily expect a callow young lion on their excursion to necessarily get what they need if they were to go to AEW. So I think, you know, the tried and tested routes are Rev Pro and CMLL. You know, maybe in Australia, New Zealand, there's opportunities there, and it doesn't have to be just one. Like, why not do more than one?
Yeah,
you know, we've seen that from some wrestlers. Yeah, guys like Fujita has done multiple places. Oscar and Yuto Ice did multiple countries as well. So, yeah, I don't think you want to sort of pigeonhole yourself to just one country for excursion. Yeah, bounce around.
Absolutely, and again, not to beat on the. I don't know if AEW is the best spot. You know, right? So you'll still get a taste of a touring wrestling company, which again probably has its benefits. There's a lot more people to pick brains and really kind of hone the idea of televised matches. But you're right. You would. I don't know if you would have the impact on the the wrestler themselves as opposed to a Rev Pro or a Mexico or whatever. And I hate to say it, but like that excursion's not going to mean a ton to like an AEW, whereas maybe a Rev Pro, they could use that talent. They could use that, name from New Japan Pro Wrestling to kind of come over and help them as well. Every time I think of like that kind of scenario, I do always kind of fall back on like Okada and how he hated the TNA run and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't want something to overly sour them on the idea of working in a promotion. And I just, not to say that they would get like pigeonholed with some awful gimmick, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the idea of learning probably would be a little bit better suited in a Rev Pro or a Mexico or New Zealand or Australia or what have you.
Any early predictions for that Young Lion Cup? It's hard to look past Murashima at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I'm gonna put my money on anybody, Murashima would probably be one of them. Yasuda is one of those guys that I really like. I like this. I like that crop. I do. And I think the last time I was probably as excited was probably the Show era when they were ready to leave and go on excursion. Oscar, I remember just being excited for as well. No, I think those two are the ones that stand out for me.
Okay, next match then was the NJPW World TV Championship match. El Phantasmo defeated Chris Brooks in 11 minutes, 48 seconds with Thunder Kiss 86. So we had ELP with his Bret Hart tribute gear. Yeah. This is really good. I mean, they worked really hard, more than you might necessarily expect from a pre-show match, but they went out there and had a really good match. A little bit of silliness and shenanigans, but then it went pretty hard towards the end of it. I've not seen any indication that this is anything more than just them, friends of Chris Brooks throwing him a bone to get him this booking on the show, get him working at the Tokyo Dome. I don't think New Japan are attempting to sign him or anything like that. Everything I hear kind of sounds like he's sort of wrapping up his time in Japan. So I don't know what is next for him, but it's the first time I've seen him wrestle. I was quite impressed. I thought they did a good job here.
Yeah, I thought the match was and considering, everyone is crunched for time, right? It's not like, they're giving them all the time to do everything that they probably wanted to do. I think they were able to squeeze in a solid three, and I know people hate stars, but like a 3.5 star match. And again, this is pre-show, people. And I will also say that, again, while some of the comedy stuff might not be all for me, right, and nor are they trying to make it for me, I think a lot of the stuff landed. I thought, again, this is not even the main show, and even the work that they put in leading up to this match, it was. They didn't have a lot of time, but I think they made the most of the opportunities that they had. Yeah, I thought it was fine. Look, a month ago, was anybody expecting this match to even be a reality, let alone go out there and really kind of set a tone for the night? No, I thought it was a really solid way to open the show. So, yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah, a little toilet break after that. Those are fantastic Japanese toilets where, a lot of them have this function, Damon, where it will play some music or play some sound.
Yeah.
So to avoid embarrassment, people outside hearing you doing your business, I turn it off. That's the power move. I want them to hear everything that's going on. Wow. I'm not ashamed of what I do. But yeah, I tell you what, the best experience with that, you know what Arthur's like, how we love sort of buttons and machines and stuff. Yeah. So he was in the hotel room just sort of playing around with it. I was on the bed and I was watching can't remember what I was watching, but then I just hear a shriek and he shouts, ah!
Uh-oh.
And he comes out of the toilet and he's all wet. And he goes, Daddy, the toilet squirted me.
Oh, he's playing with the buttons.
He's learning the hard way.
I love it.
Anyway, let's back to the wrestling. So, main show, first match, no time limit, never open weight, 6-man tag championship, Tornado Rambo. So, do I have to list all the teams here? The winning team was TMDK. It was Hartley Jackson, Ryohei Oiwa, Zack Sabre Jr., who last defeated the Oleg Boltin, Yoshihashi Hiroki Goto team. So Zack, I believe, pinned Oleg Boltin 20 minutes, 43 seconds with the European clutch.
Yep.
Yeah, as we predicted, the spotlight here was on Kaisei Takechi, who, and like I said, variety show. You know, they did the big song and dance, the J-pop number with the J-pop group. I can't remember what they're called. We Are 55 Boys and We Love You, something like that. And we were hoping that Shota and Yuya, maybe they might even win it and get some, a little moment in the spotlight. But they just looked like backing dancers. They were like a pair of NPCs. Yeah. Spotlight firmly on Kaisei Takechi, and Shota Yuya did absolutely nothing. Like, this is, to coin your phrase, Damon, 10 pounds of shit in a 5 pound bag. This match was a fucking mess. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know who was eliminated. I didn't know who was still active. I couldn't see and couldn't tell when people were getting eliminated, because sometimes people were getting eliminated while I was watching other people making their entrances. Yep. And for all the praise that I give New Japan for delivering in the big spots at the Tokyo Dome, New Japan cannot book a decent Rambo to save their lives.
This
was absolutely horrendous. There were some fun parts. Like, the highlights were Sanada and his cosplay of Dynamo from The Running Man, the Christmas tree gimmick. And I really enjoyed Yo and his young Yano, the GBH cosplay. And I think he even went to the extent of dyeing his eyebrows. Look, I did not have Hartley Jackson winning a New Japan title at the Tokyo Dome on my bingo card, but here we are. Would love to see it.
Yeah. I know he was super excited. Like, you could tell just, one, in-ring reactions, and two, he got it all out on the socials. So, I mean, that's I like that. I thought the entrances were cool, but know that like you're saying, like, you have no idea, like, TV wise, it was the same. Like there was just so much going on, all happening. It felt like at the same time that you're just like, I can't. I just kind of rode the wave with it. It did feel like they gave them. I mean, they almost had to. Just getting them the ramp took probably a good 3 minutes for each entrance, and then even with the more elaborate ones, how long? 20 minutes? 25 minutes?
Yeah, it felt like about 15 of that was just entrances.
Right. But yeah, I mean, look, I know a lot of people, kind of maybe muddled moans when it comes to Zack, and, we're going to just kind of give him the never 6-man titles and blah, blah, blah. I think once again, wrestlers make titles. And it doesn't necessarily matter. Like, you might be down on the fact and think that, well, that you're really underutilizing Zack. Right? No. Like, let's see what creativity, and let's see what can be done with that. Because we're talking about some creative, smart, intelligent, well-rounded pro wrestlers now holding that title. Not to say that it didn't happen before, but again, you can kind of track that of, let's put it this way. Next week, if you say, Damon, who are the never 6-man tag team champions? You know what I mean? It's going to mean a little bit more, and it's going to keep going. So while I understand people's hesitation of, we're really underutilizing Zack here, like, let's see what happens with it. I'm willing to say, let's give him the title. And remember, this is Zack who had the TV title, which again is this. Every title feels the same way in New Japan, in the sense of it matters who holds it. And you can have some good, fun, great pro wrestling, no matter what title's on the line, if you're telling me and it's treated importantly. And I think that with Zach, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like I feel comfortable and safe with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm flying the flag for Zach being the New Japan Wrestler of the Year for 2025, but I also think he should be downcycled somewhat. You know, I don't want to see him front and center in the main event picture because that's not the time for it. I feel he was a really important transitional element to the main event scene and still has some value there, but it's time for him to step back and let some of the, you know, the newer guys, the younger guys pick up that ball and run with it whilst he can add value elsewhere, because wherever he's plugged in, Zach is going to make everything around him better, whether that's the tag division or the six-man tag division, whatever it is he's doing, even if he's not necessarily directly involved in a program, just him being around backstage, helping guys to, you know, lay out their matches and give advice and things like that, tremendously valuable. So yeah, love Zach. He was excellent last year. No problems with him being in the six-man scene for now.
Yep, absolutely.
Second match, 60 minutes time limit, IWGP Women's and Strong Women's Double Championship match. Syuri defeated Sai Kamatani, 12 minutes, 9 seconds, Syuri World. So Syuri becomes the double champion, the women's champion and the strong champion. There were some whispers going around before this match that Sai Kamatani was injured, that she was banged up pretty badly from the match they'd had at the Stardom show. Couldn't really tell. I thought the match was really good. More memorable for me for the entrance, the star power, the aura of Sai Kamatani, the Tokyo Sports MVP. Like, she seems like a huge star. Loads of people wearing her merchandise and calling her name during the match. So, yeah, really good to see that. Really interesting to, you know, see that in person and, you know, how much of a big deal she is. Like, real sort of crossover appeal. And yeah, not necessarily a surprise that she lost here, because I would imagine that having the IWGP women's title and the strong women's title sort of means more stateside obligations, possibly. So, yeah, I don't see necessarily any value in Sai Kamatani doing that, because she's a really important part of Stardom. Like, they need her for the domestic scene. So Syuri maybe more sort of person that you can do for these crossover matches, showcase matches, foreign matches. So, yeah, good match. I, you know, can't really say a huge amount more about it.
I thought this match was banging, dude. I really enjoyed this match, and when it was over, I kind of, you know, mumbled under my breath, like, "Fuck, they did it again." Like, we say it all the time on this show. When they get an opportunity, again, what do they go? 15 minutes? Not even 15 minutes, probably.
12.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they made the most of the opportunity, and I'm telling you, as God is my witness, and I know that there are people out there that's like, you know what? It means more to have Stardom shows be elevated than it is to put them on third on, you know, whatever, New Beginning or whatever, or Dontaku or whatever. Like, I would love to see more of this in even higher positions on the show, not just doing stateside Long Beach, you know, main events or semi-main events or what have you. Like, legitimately have them featured. They always make the most of their opportunities. I'm not saying this is 5 stars, but I'm saying I think I comfortably landed in the 4 range. Like, we're in like super high 3s, 4s, and for the second match of the show, yeah, I absolutely dug it. And I guarantee you that there were New Japan fans that might not have dipped their toes too deep in the Stardom pool. Like, I'd be shocked if there weren't more than a handful of people that were like, ooh, I got to get deeper into this. And again, not people who are already watching and enjoying and are fans of. I'm talking about people who maybe just, for whatever reason, haven't gotten into the Stardom. Like, I really feel like that match could be a perfect launching point for you. And again, second match on a big show. There weren't any nerves. It didn't look like anybody was missing a beat. They went out there 12 minutes and nothing felt overly rushed. Nothing felt, but yet it was nonstop balls to the wall. I thoroughly enjoyed this match, and like at that point, I was like, man, the women have set the bar, man. They have set the fucking bar for this show. And I was actually somewhat a little worried, like, ooh, okay. Like looking at the lineup, like, again, there's going to be magical moments for sure. And, you know, it wasn't like a long thought of panic, but I was like, man, are these guys going to be able to keep up with them? I really did, because I was like, okay, you know, they may not have gotten the time that others have on the show, but that 12 minutes was a great 12 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I think they've done enough of these where I'm a little bit more skeptical about the kind of crossover appeal of it. Like, I think by this point, New Japan fans are New Japan fans and Stardom fans are Stardom fans. I still think it's worth trying, and I just like to see it just for the variety. You know, it's nice to have a little bite-sized morsel of Stardom on big New Japan shows. I'm all in favour of that. I've really enjoyed what I've seen, but, you know, for me personally, nothing that I'm going to be like, right, I'm a Stardom fan now.
Right.
So that's just talking for myself. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'd be interested to see the metrics, if there are necessarily kind of bumps in subscriberships after they do these kind of events. But yeah, really good match all the same. Third match, special 10-man tag match, where we had the unaffiliated and War Dogs team of Hiromu, Drilla Maloney, Gabe Kidd, David Finlay, Shingo Takagi, defeated by the United Empire team of Andrade El Idolo, Henare, Callum Newman, Great Khan, and the surprising re-debut after injury of Jake Lee. So there's a lot I want to say about Callum Newman. There's a lot I want to say about Jake Lee. I mean, for this match itself, 13 minutes, 17 seconds, Jake Lee pinned Hiromu after the face break shot. I like Finlay and his funny toy minigun. It sounds like I'm hearing he's possibly got an offer from WWE he might be off, or maybe he's just leaking stuff to get a better deal. Who knows at this? I try to ignore that stuff. I don't really pay attention
He's
to it.
He's been leaving for years. How many years have we been here? You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf at this point. Like I think he's tremendous. We'll see. You're probably right, though.
I mean, with all these, it would be great if they stayed, but if they leave, then it just means someone else is going to step up and take that spot. So yep. I'm not really interested in speculating. Are they going to go? Are they going to stay? I don't care. And I don't mean that to say that he's got no value to the company, but I'm just not interested in speculating about it. So we'll talk about it again when he's either extended his contract or he's left. So that's it. That's as much as I want to engage with it. But this was a fun match. It was kind of treats for the World Tag League sickos. So little callbacks to stuff like Hiromu and Finlay using each other as weapons against the opposition, which they were doing through World Tag League, and the Driller and Shingo tag team they were firing up again, so that was good to see. And yeah, we were spot on with the Jake Lee prediction. And again, I'm going to talk more about Jake Lee when it comes to the aftermath of the Yota Tsuji match. But I liked his presentation here. I like the music. It's, new coat of paint for him. And I thought this match was going to be a Callum Newman showcase, but it turned out to be more of a United Empire rehab, a revival of the faction as a whole. I thought Henare looked in tremendous shape. I loved his skullet, matching skullets with Great Khan, so maybe they're going to pick up the tag team again. The Holy Seaman Army. Francesco Akira came back. He's looking great. He attacked Hiromu and Ishimori. I don't know if they're going to be doing some kind of tag stuff. Maybe Jacob Austin Young getting involved as well. But I thought they did a really good job here in one match, making United Empire from a punchline into arguably the hottest faction in the company. So job done.
Yeah. I mean, up to now by the end of this match, I think we're like on a decent run of really solid matches. Like the undercard, after it was all said and done, like I thought it was just flew by. Like it wasn't like it felt like it dragged. And this match particularly, like I thought, like, again, nobody's getting 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And I thought this was really good. You're right. The idea that United Empire, it was like a little jumper cables. It resuscitated it. It brought it back to life. And again, there have been seeds and a decent amount of work put into kind of getting people comfortable with the idea of Callum Newman taking on a bigger role, and Hinare's return, and Andrade making the scene, and all of that. In that same breath, you're kind of like, well, with that being said, the other side of the coin felt like it's run its course, right? Like at the end of that, didn't you think, even without them announcing it, it was like, okay, is this like, are we? What are we doing with this? And again, as we found out, what they are doing with it, but yeah, it did feel like there was a breath of fresh air in something that could very easily have just gone back and been stale as fuck and directionless and just a thing. It could have very easily been the new chaos, so to speak. But it did. It brought new life into it, and I thought the match was good. I thought the match was. I mean, look at the talent that's fucking in there. What did you think of Andrade? Did he stand out to you at all?
His physique did. He looked absolutely absurd, like preposterous upper body shape there. So, yeah, I mean, he didn't do a huge amount in this match, but I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about him, because from what I hear, there's a sense that he is willing, and there's willingness from AEW side for him to do some good stuff with New Japan this year. There's sort of whispers about G1. I think Andrade in the G1 would fucking slap. Like, he'd go hard in that. So hopefully they can work that out. I know, there's still a lot of negotiations to go. I don't think anything is set in stone, but if they can work that out, I'll be over the moon with that. I think that'll be tremendous.
Yeah. Yeah, very high. As we had said, the stonks are high for United Empire. I'm definitely into that. What about the other side of the coin? At that time, were you thinking anything of War Dogs? Were you just kind of like, I don't know, the idea of Los Ingobernables and War Dogs being together? Were like it did feel like that experiment felt a little bit flat to me, and it really did feel like at that point.
I think it yielded some fun results during World Tag League. Again, like little treats, breadcrumbs for the sickos who are watching that sort of stuff. I thought those two teams that I mentioned were a lot of fun. And it feels like they're kind of treading water until they figure out who's staying and who's going. So they're not going to commit fully to, redefining two entire units when half of those guys could end up leaving. The War Dogs could end up with just Taiji Ishimori in a couple of months' time. So, they've reshaped it. What are they called now? They're Unbound Company, led by Yota Tsuji. I think that's fine. That's good. That's been resolved. So we've got no more of this kind of uneasy or, well, whatever alliance between these two groups. So, yeah, it's been redefined. It's been tidied up. So, yeah, no complaints. We just have to wait and see what it looks like in a few months' time once the contract situation has been sorted out.
Yeah. Now, I know you don't want to touch on it, but I'm going to make you touch on it just for one brief second. Finley, Drilla, Gabe, all of them gone, some of them gone. What are your thoughts? Or do you even give a fuck?
I think Clark and Gabe probably gone.
Yeah.
Drilla, I think he'll stay, actually. I think that he would be wise to stay. Even though I think he ate the pinfall, didn't he, at New Year Dash, which, if you read into that, maybe that means he's on his way out. But I feel that there's more for him to do in New Japan. Whereas the others, it feels like they've kind of done everything that they're going to do. I was flying the flag for a David Finlay world title run last year. It kind of feels that ship is sailing by. It feels like there's so many other guys who've sort of stepped up at this point that perhaps that opportunity's gone. So I would love him to stay, but it feels a bit like they are making plans for life after Finlay. He's no longer the leader of the faction anymore. He wasn't really a feature part of this match. So it feels like they're kind of shifting him into the background for now.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Like, that time has come and gone. I do feel like he should have, but okay, it didn't work out. And I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, I think it's best that we both part ways. I think it is one of those scenarios at this point. Which, again, that does not necessarily mean that never come back. That doesn't necessarily mean we didn't appreciate the time that you were here. But I just think for both parties, I think it's time for a split. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So Gabe Kidd, on the other hand, look, it honestly, to me, he was gone in the middle of G1. You know what I mean? When he got hurt, it really felt like, I don't know, like that magic was gone. Like that was like a hot summer fling. Gabe Kidd, coming into Wrestle Kingdom last year and previous, and the match with Kenny and all of that. That was like a hot girl summer fling. And yeah, I just feel like I'm not returning your texts anymore. I'm not. That was that. And yeah, go do your Death Rider thing, whatever the fuck that means.
After the holidays, there's so much to clean up and get ready for the coming year. This leaves me exhausted and a lot of things falling off my to-do list. It's time to lock in, and Omaha Steaks delivers everything you crave to reset after the holidays. An order from them means having high-quality Omaha steaks on hand at all times. I'm a big meat lover myself, and I always go with medium rare. But there's also plenty of poultry and other options available. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. A family-owned company with over 100 years of expertise in the meat industry. Let Omaha Steaks deliver high-quality proteins right to your door. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their end-of-season sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code YUM at checkout. That's OMAHA steaks.com, promo code YUM. Terms apply. See site for details. Go to www.omahasteaks.com to get 50% off site-wide during their end-of-season sale. And use promo code YUM at checkout for an extra $35 off. Minimum purchase may apply. Thanks to Omaha Steaks for sponsoring us.
I think that might be a good point to touch on Callum Newman while we're talking about United Empire and what happened at New Year Dash. So we had Will Ospreay make a surprise appearance during New Year Dash, and you can see it in Ospreay's eyes and the way he's sort of looking around. You can see that little twinkle that he never wanted to leave, right? He still loves New Japan and he wants to come back, whether, that's just for the odd match or a feud or a tour. From what I hear, he really misses it. So it looks like at the very least he's going to work a program with Callum Newman when he's healthy, which is just what Callum Newman needs to launch him to the next level and do for Callum what Kenny did for Ospreay himself and what Kenny did for Gabe, which is have a match of the year and then a fat paycheck from Tony Khan. So we look forward to that. But no, putting aside my understandable cynicism, we've been burned by this before. I thought that angle at Dash was tremendous. It was really smart, very well executed, where you got that bubbling Callum Newman resentment over recent months with what a mess United Empire has been left in. And that resentment, logically, is directed towards Ospreay, who abandoned them and left them in the shit. So whilst Ospreay is showing a sincere desire to come and clean up his mess, Callum must be thinking, fuck this guy. Now you come back. Right. After I drag the faction out of the mud and get these new people on board. And I thought his Callum Newman's emoting while Ospreay was speaking, like that barely concealed contempt in his eyes. And then when he did finally go for the hug, just that cold, dead expression when he was hugging him. And when he picked up that chair, it was great little touch that it was the United Empire OGs, the guys that Ospreay had recruited, Hinare and Okanu, held him back when he was about to waffle Ospreay with a chair. Like, that's a really thoughtful, well-crafted angle, layered with enough, real life elements to make it very compelling and exciting. And I've been praising Callum Newman for a long time now, even when he was getting hate from other people. It feels like he's just this bomb waiting to go off, and all it's going to take is a big match with Will Ospreay as that spark for Callum Newman to become a top heel. It looks like for the moment Jake Lee's pushed himself to the front as the de facto leader of the United Empire, possibly. But having Callum lurking in the shadows, sneering and festering with resentment at being abandoned and overlooked and literally little brothered by Ospreay, I think leads to some very interesting possibilities. Maybe he takes over United Empire, or maybe he revives Bullet Club. Like, who knows? It might start something new, but it feels that bomb is in the post, so to speak.
It's amazing. You look back on Will Ospreay, and here's a guy that, grew up massive wrestling fan, athletic as fuck, the gymnastics background and the athletic background that he had. He does the backyard stuff, and you'd be amazed at how many people did that before they got trained and so forth. And I think about a guy who loves pro wrestling as much as he does, and he makes a name for himself, and now New Japan's taking a look at him. And, those higher profile Rev Pro type matches that feel like, oh, this is not necessarily a tryout match, but it's a tryout match. And, he wows who he needs to wow and impresses who he needs to impress. He goes to New Japan Junior, does things that polarized people. You go back to that Junior match with Ricochet and how people lost their minds with it, both positively and negatively. But still, you knew that he was an unbelievable talent. And then, he puts on a couple pounds. The weight room starts taking shape, turns into the heavy, and away we go with Will Ospreay. And he becomes the best wrestler on planet Earth at that time. And then I think now he's making decent money. He's making good pro wrestling money, but now he has an opportunity to truly make money and provide for himself, his family, what have you. And once again, I will never say, I'll never fault a wrestler for getting the money while they can, because, you can count them on one hand, the wrestlers that just throughout their entire lives have made really good money. And he had an opportunity to do so, and quite honestly, elevate his name and his brand, his market.
He's got a family to support as well. He's a stepdad now, so you got to put your family first.
Absolutely. Again, he had that opportunity. Now, that unfortunately was, New Japan took the bullet for that one. It's like you lost a great talent, for all the reasons that we just described. That said, I really love a pro wrestler who realizes that maybe the bag is not everything. Maybe. Again, is it super important? Of course it is. That's You want that. You dream of that. But there is having great pro wrestling. If you love pro wrestling, there are people got into pro wrestling that, they don't give a fuck about pro wrestling. Look like a Kevin Nash. You know what I mean? Like Kevin Nash doesn't give a fuck about pro wrestling. He gives a fuck about
shit's fake, brother.
Right. You know what I mean? But like they're like Sid Vicious, Justice, depending upon where you look. Hey, the dude wanted to play
Brock Lesnar.
What's that?
Brock Lesnar.
Brock, another one, right? I mean, there are countless of that. But you truly have a guy who loves pro wrestling. And there is...
And also a guy that I think takes a lot of satisfaction in being making the next guy.
Thank you.
Paying it forward and establishing new stars.
Right. And appreciates that, the idea of that in pro wrestling. Like, where else are you going to do it? Like, we talk about that in sport all the time. The passing of the torch from one guy to the next generation guy who's going to lead the league and be the star. But, in pro wrestling, you can really do that, right? He's that guy. So again, even if it's not a long-term thing, even if it's not like I'm back in New Japan Pro Wrestling for the rest, it probably won't be that. But like, it's a guy who, with his friend, and a guy again who he wants to kind of pass that torch to. Like, to me, I got to tip my fucking hat to the guy, and it makes things exciting. Flipping the coin, Callum Newman. This is it. Like, this is going to be a career-defining moment for him. He has the tools. He has the wherewithal. He just needs the spark, and this could be it. This is finally the angle and the moment. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for like the United Empire. Like, we've heard all the bullshit, like even stuff that we haven't talked about on the show of how much of a struggle it was. Like, there was a lot of real life shit that went into United Empire forming and United Empire fizzling. And the political pull that some people wanted to have, thought they had, wanted, all of it. All the dynamics that you would think were playing out in real life to a very large degree when it came to United Empire. And some of it bled into what you saw, and some of it didn't, which would blow your mind. Trust me, when we write the book, people, it'll be a page turner. So I'm was also glad that like all of that it has been put to bed, and again, when we opened the show about direction and we finally set our sails to the wind and instead of against it constantly, that was one of those moments for the entire week where you're like, okay, here we go, we have a direction. So great job by Will, great job by Callum, great job by everyone in United Empire. And great job by everyone in United Empire for, just like us, sticking it out, riding it out. Were there frustrations along the way? I can only imagine. But like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, kids. Now here's the ball. Fucking run with it. Fucking run with it, because it's there for the taking.
Fourth match, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship #1 contenders 4-way match. And so we got Kosei Fujita, Taiji Shimori, Sho, El Desperado. 7 minutes 35 this went.
A lot.
Frustratingly close with my prediction. It was, as I thought it would be, 100 miles per hour spot fest. We had, as I predicted, Doki ringside, sending his goons, heel shenanigans, played loud, played to the back row. This was not the pure showcase of junior heavyweight wrestling that us freaks would have wanted, but I saw the intention. This was a high-paced vehicle to get the casuals to buy in on Kosei Fujita, the hook, to see Fujita deliver comeuppance to the dastardly Doki at a future event. And it duly delivered because, we had Kosei Fujita introduced first. Great entrance. We had a little video package at the beginning to show the new fans, the lapsed fans, what Fujita's all about. There was the new entrance music. The guy looked like a rock star. And then Despi Ishimori came out. We had Sho introduced last. And, I've got to say, I'll talk to this about the Evil match, but the aura of the House of Torture guys in their entrances was impeccable.
Yeah,
they looked like the purest distillation. Yeah, like absolute anime villain energy at its purest. Like leaving fans in absolutely no doubt what the story is here. Can the young punk Fujita overcome the numbers of the House of Torture goons? Also overcome the three men that he's never beaten before. He's never beaten Sho, never beaten Ishimori, never beaten Desperado, to avenge his junior title match loss and propel him on the path to become the next junior ace with the buy-in from all these new fans. So mission accomplished from all involved as Kosei Fujita pins... Hold on a second. No, there's some mistake on the website here, Damon. It says El Desperado won. That's got to be Chris Charlton dropping the ball with his website updates. Chris, what are you like? As if El Desperado would win this match. That's ridiculous. That wouldn't make any sense at all. Silly.
Well, yeah. Again, it wasn't all unicorns and rainbows, right? Oh, excuse me. Yeah. 8 pounds of shit in a 3-pound bag. There was a lot going on. And I want to say that, like, to me, there was not a ton that stood out, like where you were like, oh, that spot was great, or that was just, a lot of times these matches turn into that one spot. And I don't necessarily think there was a lot of that. Yeah, that was weird. Now, again, as we go into Dash, I guess it makes a little bit more sense, but I that's where I kind of fell off. We got off the rails a little bit. Here's a problem. It was too much and too much to ask for in such a short amount of time. Like less than 10 minutes this match was. That was a tough ask to have 4 guys and then all the outside stuff. Again, in 7 minutes, they did what they could given the circumstances. But yeah, you would have thought that. I mean, what's the logic there, Joel? Is it, what, he's a guy that people know more? I don't know. Do you think that's the case here?
Okay, right. Despi won. He was a winner at Wrestle Kingdom 15. That was tags, admittedly. Won junior title match at Wrestle Kingdom 16. Won the junior title match at Wrestle Kingdom 18. Won the junior title match at Wrestle Kingdom 19, admittedly by referee stoppage after the Doki injury. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Again,
and I like Despi. I want to like him. He was one of my favorite wrestlers, but he feels so overexposed at this point and so incongruous with what it felt like the theme of the night and sort of the general vibe around New Japan Pro Wrestling is establishing this new generation. What is this doing apart from, possibly benefiting El Desperado and him selling tickets for his Death Pain Las Vegas glorified GCW show? Honestly, this is leaving a real sour taste in my mouth about a guy who I used to adore as a pro wrestler.
Yeah, no, I look, I hear you. When the match was over, it had me worried that all up until that point, I was vibing on the show. And we got here, and that finish was just, again, just like, ooh, what? Oh. I was really worried we were going to go over. Yeah, I mean, look, not everything can hit, right? Not everything can hit.
He'll get his moment. Like, he'll get his moment eventually, won't he? So I'm assuming they'll run back the Despi Doki match. obviously doing it at fucking Korakuen Hall because El Desperado is seemingly allergic to having junior heavyweight title matches in buildings with more than 2,000 people in it. He'll win it, and then hopefully on the next big stage, ideally a show with more than 2,000 people at it, will put over Kosei Fujita and establish him as the next guy. So we'll get there eventually, but it would have been nice for them to do it with all these people watching. Whereas in this match, Kosei Fujita just looked like an NPC, even after the great entrance he had.
Yeah. I'm with you. Like I said, it did. Trust me, and where this match was positioned on the show, it had me worried that we were going. We made a sharp left turn. You know, like there was a fork in the road, and we're like, oh, well, now oh boy, now what? It did have me worried. I'm not gonna lie, just because. Okay, we swung and missed on this one. And again, I don't necessarily blame the participants in the match. What could they do? 7 minutes with all the shit they had to get done? Tough ask. It was more of, the guy who I thought this was all built around, it wasn't. So yeah, it did leave me scratching my head a little bit.
Fifth match, Never Openweight Championship, Aaron Urufu debut. Aaron Urufu defeat. I can't stop saying Aaron Urufu. I can't call him Aaron Wolf anymore. It's too fun saying Urufu. It's not that hard. It's that kind of light F sound that they have in Japanese. It's just it's extremely a good mouthfeel to say Urufu. Defeating King of Darkness Evil, 12 minutes 53 seconds via referee stoppage. So Urufu is your new Never Openweight champion. Obviously, Damon, this is a rookie wrestler in his first ever match, right? This is not some young lion who's been at the dojo for 6 months and then working undercards, televised undercards for 2 years, and going off for excursion for a year and coming back. This is his first match, or at least his first televised match. So, it goes without saying, he did look a bit green. He looked a bit wobbly, a bit nervous. Now, I would argue that was necessary. He needed to look nervous in kayfabe, right? It's a cornerstone of the drama here. If Urufu struts out in the Tokyo Dome with the confidence of prime Stone Cold Steve Austin, then, what we do, where do we go from there in terms of character growth? So, I think it's important to establish those things which might seem obvious, right? But establish that before we talk about the match, because I've seen some absolutely diabolical analysis of this, saying that Urufu looked a bit nervous and a bit shaky as some kind of stick to beat him with. Like, what the fuck were you expecting for a rookie in his first match in a sold-out Tokyo Dome on primetime TV for a major singles title against one of the top guys in the company and his entire faction of goons? Like, some people's expectations going into this were just preposterous. And as a result, they're not able to discuss this in an informed and serious manner. But look, that's why the big boys are here. Yep. So, yes, it's a given. He is not the complete pro wrestler. We understand that. But did this match achieve what it needed to? Now, to me, this match was a home fucking run. The crowds were living and dying by everything. Insane pops from the crowd. I would say maybe the biggest of the night. And I wondered going into this if there was going to be a bit of a crowd split, because Evil, who I will talk about in this match, but he's a dojo guy, and I thought there might be significant fan support for him as the New Japan Dojo product and roster mainstay who is there week in, week out and has been there for years, getting cheered over, maybe a perception of Urufu being like a celebrity pretender playing pro wrestlers, just something to entertain him short term. But in one inspired bit of symbolism, they nipped that in the bud with the shedding of the judo gi to reveal shaved heads, black trunks. The crowd lost their fucking minds for that, because, that is a clarion call. There can be no doubt that this guy is now a New Japan pro wrestler. That visual language of the young lion. Now, obviously, he's not a young lion, but that also played into some of the things that they talked about in the pre-show presser, where Evil said if he won, then Urufu would have to shave his head and would not be allowed to wear a gi anymore. So Urupu was getting ahead of the mind games by doing that himself, taking agency, taking ownership of the situation and showing everyone that he is deadly serious about this new path in his career. Like, he is doing it properly, he's all in on it. He from what I've understand, he turned down a lot of other stuff. He turned down opportunities from Rising for this. And by all accounts, I hear he's just working his socks off to make it a success. And lots of discussion about his physical shape, but I saw the vision here, right? This is a big, burly fucker in black trunks, no frills, no gimmick entrance with, motorcycles, no silly nicknames, no flashy gear with shiny, sparkly tassels, no fancy haircut. It's just a beefy, hard man who is going out there to ragdoll some motherfuckers and drop them on their heads. Like, he's got the look of a guy who you'd see in the corner of a seedy bar in the wrong part of town who'd put you through a fucking window if you spilled his pint. Like, it's a proper 90s throwback who immediately looks different to everyone else on the roster. So I don't want him to change a single fucking thing about the presentation. Like, to me, they nailed it on the first attempt. I don't want him to lose a single pound or add a single splash of color or a single thread to his gear. I want the fat guy in black trunks who's coming to fuck you up. And in terms of like the match layout, I know this was a House of Torture match, but there's so much possibility of having his matches be like, a Brock Lesnar style, like a match that's going to be different. Right? I don't necessarily want 20 plus minute main event epics from him. Like, this match served its purpose, but I would love to see him running through guys in sub 10-minute blitzes with, loads of judo throws and submissions and stuff. And yeah, this match knocked it out of the park because he had the physicality we hoped for. Even like from the first minute of the match when he took his first flat back bump, I was like, oh, okay, we're fine. Everything's going to be okay here. Because if you look like a big dude, you got to wrestle like a big dude. And he was laying it in nice and snug. The match was great. High spots were sensational. I saw some people saying he wrestled like a young lion. Yes, of course, the classic young lion arsenal of moves of Olympic slams and judo throws and high fly flows. Just your standard young boy Korakuen opening match fare, you silly people. I lost my mind at that frog splash. That was tremendous. Yeah. Even when he went to the apron, right, and started climbing, the fans were going mental. I want more fat guys doing frog splashes in pro wrestling. I got flashbacks to D'Lo Brown, and I was loving life. And the finish was stunning, like the callback to fellow big fucker Shinya Hashimoto. He did the Sankaku Jime judo-style triangle choke that Big Hash used to finish Nobuhiko Takada at the Dome in 96. We are bringing back Inoki as a motherfuckers. Go and tell your dad. And I've also seen a lot of quote-unquote analysis of this debut through the lens of, I don't like House of Torture matches, yucky. And I'm sorry to all the House of Torture haters, but Evil was the perfect opponent here.
Yep.
The perfect opponent. There was this was way better than, doing a fucking 5-minute grappling exhibition with Oleg Bolton or Zack Sabre Jr. or whatever. Like, first of all, Evil's entrance, we talked about it with show, Evil's entrance made him look and feel like a fucking rock star. The live music, the full squad behind him, except Chase Owens. His invitation must have got lost in the post. And I know, I get it, right? We're all sick and tired of the House of Torture tropes. They piss us off 99% of the time, but this is that 1% of the time where it works and it justifies its existence in pissing you off for the rest of the time. And I'll tell you for a fact, there were plenty of Evil fans in the building. The House of Torture merch was everywhere. But even beyond those sicko fans who love Evil, the crowd were eating this up. They were in the palms of their hands. All the House of Torture shenanigans made those moments where Urufu would land like a big hit or a slam pop like a motherfucker, with all the goons ringside, like Dick Togo and Kanemaru and Yujiro, like overreacting to each power move that Urufu landed. And after the Don Fale table spot, I swear to God, like every single person in the dome was chanting Urufu, Urufu. And not to mention the absolute explosion of joy when he got the submission win and Marty's waving his hands. I jumped out of my chair for the first of 2 times during this show. And I'll tell you this, some people won't want to hear this, but I know I'm right, Damon. This was an absolute masterclass from Evil. So even beyond just the stuff of him like mugging to the crowd and the cameras to build the heat, if you pay attention to this match, he is subtly guiding Urufu through the layout of the match with care and the precision of a heart surgeon. He's like readjusting when things are slightly off or leaning into strikes that are a little bit wayward, just making sure that everything lands with maximum impact, bumping like fucking Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam 2005 to make sure that Aaron Wolf looked like a killer. So you throw that onto the pile of evidence for the anti-Tony Khan agenda with his evil slander. Because look, you might not like the booking of evil, but only a complete fucking imbecile would accuse this man of being a bad pro wrestler. He is the purest of pro wrestlers you're going to get. And I know we're going to differ on this one, but how can you not love Sonata stomping on Urufu's Swiss cheese boots? Really excited. And look, right, to bring it big picture, right? New Japan, they had one job on this show, like arguably the most important job of absolute critical importance, to make Aaron Wolf look like a star. Right. And they entrusted that job to Evil. Right. And Evil fucking signed, sealed, delivered it on a bloody plate. So let's give the man his flowers. Again, you don't have to like his bookie, you don't have to like House of Torture, but you have to acknowledge he was the perfect man for the job, and he absolutely knocked it out of the park. And look, New Japan has had a lot of trouble over the last few years making new stars. Shota Umino being case in point here of like the muddled, confused, too many cooks booking. Like, you know, the camel is a horse designed by committees. There's too much shit on him. Like Carl Havoc, you know, they botched it with Umino, and he's floundering as a result. But what I'm so impressed with here is the precise and elegant simplicity of how they presented Aaron Wolf. Like, there's a unified vision here. Every single person in this company knows how important it is to get this right. And I don't think there's going to be any jealousy backstage. I don't think there's going to be anyone on the roster thinking that, you know, this guy doesn't deserve it or worried about him taking their spot. I bet you, Damon, that every single guy in that locker room was watching this match, thinking up ways that Aaron Wolf can counter their finishers with sick judo throws, send them flying ass over tit so they can have a crack at putting him over and making him look like the star that New Japan so desperately needs. They're going to be lining up around the block for their chance to stare at the lights room, because they should know if they nail this and Aaron Wolf achieves his potential, that is a rising tide which lifts every ship in the bay. And this absolutely blew away my expectations. I was kind of bullish going into it, but a bit nervous, understandably. What I hope for is that we get some green shoots, that, you know, there's something to work with, and it wouldn't be a complete embarrassment, a complete disaster. And boy, did I underestimate, because if this is how good he is in his first ever match, do you think how much better he'll be in, you know, 6 months or a year or 3 years, right? The sky's the limit here. Think how much he's going to learn. You know, he's an Olympic athlete. He will learn, and he will learn fast. And he could be, dare I say, should be main event in Tokyo Domes sooner rather than later. You know, it wouldn't stun me if he's in the main event soon. I've already started thinking about, you know, who he should win the world title from and who his career rival should be. That I'm setting this up for the future. And look, last week I said my benchmark for success for this show would be if people walked away from it thinking and talking positively about anything that wasn't the Tanahashi retirement, because I thought the Tanahashi retirement would just swallow everything up. But for me, even after Tsuji and Takeshita smashing it and Tanahashi and Okada smashing it, when I walked out of the Tokyo Dome, all I was thinking about was Aaron Wolf. Oh. I was buzzing, Damon, and not because he's the complete pro wrestler after one match, because that's absurd, but because we saw the fire, we saw the physicality, the crowd reacted to him like he's a megastar. He's clearly got the right voices in his ear who've got his presentation spot on. And most importantly of all, they booked him differently, right? In his first ever match, rookie wrestler has beaten a top guy, G1 finalist, former world champion, major faction leader for the second biggest singles title in the company. And that, to me, is arguably the most exciting thing here, what it signifies about the shift in philosophy from the company, because we did it on the preview, Damon. You absolutely could have imagined Aaron Wolf getting choked by the garrote wire and kicked in the balls, hitting the head with a push-up bar, and then he gets pinned, and having that, you know, oh, he came so close, but, you know, the odds were stacked against him, that crap defeat to make him look like every other fucking loser in this promotion. But no, they didn't do that. They showed some fucking balls, did the right thing, and now all bets are off. Like, who knows what crazy shit they might do now? This is a new era, so strap the fuck in.
Let's go. Look, honestly, name me a better 3-star match. You know what I mean? And I say that not with any disrespect. Like, okay, if you're looking at it from a pure, what did they do physically in the ring? Okay, it not, you weren't blown, your pants weren't blown off. That being said, the match as a whole and everything that was involved in the match was fucking great. It was. From again, the small details of Evil's entrance, him with the shaved head, Aaron with the shaved head, and losing the gi and black boots and tights, to, again, that you called out the spot of, him climbing the ropes in the high fly flow, the mastercraft of Evil. Look, we were hoping, and I was thinking, yeah, what they'll probably do is have him lose with cheating, but he'll clear the ring and, he'll just get the photo op. No, they did. New Japan did not do that. They went out of their way to make him feel different. And he very easily could have been a guy, and he left there not just as, oh, he's the never ever open weight champion. He was like, it felt different, and it felt like exciting. And you're right. At least from a television perspective, like, the crowd ate up everything. I cannot tell you how happy I am that New Japan had the balls to take what they have here and make it special. House of Torture is there to make you angry. I know that sounds odd to say on what I would consider some of the fucking sharpest minds in pro wrestling listening to this show. Like, it's there to make you angry. And all of it, like, culminated in making a star and him overcoming odds and fucking over the people who have been fucking over for, months, years. The match was better than I thought it would be. You know what I mean? Like, it was better than I thought it would be. And were there smoke and mirrors? Yeah. But were there things that even like what the fuck? Yes. The judo throws you got your photo op. Like, it was maddening. The crowd. I haven't seen it like that in a long, long time, and it felt so good. Look. Does he got man boob? Yeah. Okay. Does he have abnormally large areolas? Okay. Yeah. He looks like a tank. You're right. He looks like a guy that will fucking just smash you through a fucking window. The true test is going to be New Japan Cup, right? That's where you're really going to see what we got. And again, am I expecting 20-minute epics? No. But again, we're going to be wrestling a wide variety of different wrestlers. And again, we're assuming he's in it. I couldn't have asked for more. And I know we went into this match with the idea of, okay, it's all about that photo op, and it's all about the opportunity to make him feel like, to not only the pro wrestling fans, but to the mainstream audience, of this guy is a legit deal. Like, I feel like they blew that through the roof. I really do. They hit a grand slam on a 3.5 star match. Like, fantastic. If you took yourself out of, I'm a work rate guy, or whatever. I'm a smart wrestling fan, and I know, the difference between, like, if you just lost yourself in pro wrestling, how could you not fucking enjoy that? How could you not? And again, we're not turning off our brain. like they did a masterclass in getting a guy over. It really was. Like from the minute the lights dimmed and the graphic came up that the match was coming on to the minute they left the ring, I thought it was perfection. I really do. And once again, all of them, Evil, Kanemaru, everybody, even Fale. Like, I got to tip my cap to House of Torture. And I got to tip my cap to Aaron Wolf. Yeah, yes, of course he's going to be nervous. Like, that's reality. Like, that helped the moment. It did. Because if he came out, like you said, the second coming of fucking Stone Cold, well, okay. Now we have these lofty. No, he came out with confident and prepared, but yes, with a sprinkling of holy fuck, there are 50,000 people in this fucking building. You know what I mean? Like, and this is my first fucking pro wrestling match. Like, that's got to mean something, because it would feel dopey if it wasn't. Nah, absolute home run to everyone that was involved in this match, from the people that fucking edited the ring entrances to like everybody who mapped out this match, all the work that probably went into this. Fantastic. And trust me, after this match was done, I was wide awake. I was wide awake because I was like, that was great.
Yeah, we didn't text each other that much throughout the day, but that was the moment where I had to message you and be like, fuck, that was great.
Yeah, it really was. And again, it wasn't Okada Tanahashi. It wasn't like, even previous years. It wasn't Omega Okada. It wasn't Ospreay. And the mirror. It wasn't that. And nor should you have expected it, quite honestly. But my God, like like pro wrestling is different things to different people. People enjoy all the different sides that pro wrestling can be delivered, from death matches to I like shoot style UWFI type. I like high flying juniors. I like Dragon Gate speed and the physicality. I like DDTs whacking this mixed in with the fantastic pro wrestling. I like whatever. I like old 90s All Japan, whatever. Like you have, if you really watch pro wrestling and you watch that match, you have to acknowledge that what a great job everyone did with that match. It could have fallen apart. The string on the sweater could have unraveled very quickly, and Evil was there. And you're right to keep it all in check. Watanabe, man. Again, do I think House of Torture is great? No, I can't. I don't want to watch them on a road to a show in the middle of April. Oh, God. The thought of it. But here is where you get the payoff. I after this match, I thought of Kevin Kelly. And when he was on the show and he was kind of somewhat defending what House of Torture was. And he kind of brought up like Memphis stuff and Mid-South stuff where the dickhead heels, you just got to have the fucking baby faces get their due. And all the bullshit of House of Torture, here's where it paid off. Perfect opponent. They played their role perfectly. Aaron Wolf did everything he could to make this great. Again, a masterclass. I might be. I'm almost hesitant to give it as much praise as I have, but truly, I really thought that overall they made a star. They made a star. They made a fucking star, and a star that feels different from everyone else on that roster. I don't know what else you wanted from that match. I really don't.
And I will repeat as well my earlier point that, yeah, whilst we understand the value of House of Torture as a vehicle for establishing baby faces, in Japan, actually being there and hearing the reaction to Evil and seeing the Evil fans, the House of Torture merchandise, there are a significant portion of fans in Japan who enjoy Evil and support him on his own merit. So I think that's something, we've talked about it before, but it is a disconnect between the Western fan base. But this is New Japan Pro Wrestling, and there are a lot of Japanese fans who love Evil and love House of Torture. So I think that's something important to keep in mind. It's not saying you have to like it, but I'm seeing a lot of talk at the moment, with rumors that Evil might be leaving or exploring pastures new, and a lot of people are saying like, yeah, good riddance, New Japan's going to be better off without him. Maybe to you, maybe to your own personal enjoyment. That's not for me to say, but I think that would be a significant loss, not only as just a wrestler's pro wrestler who can get the absolute best out of an opponent in a situation like this and make them look good, but also to a significant proportion of New Japan fans in Japan who really like the guy and like the faction. So, yeah, I'm going to be controversial here. I don't want to see Evil leaving the company. I want to see him stay, and I want to see that redemption arc, because I'm counting myself a fan. I'm a Watanabe fan here. I'm proud of it. So there we go. Daryl says, does it concern you at all that Gold Medal Wolf was so winded during his debut? They set him up perfectly to succeed, and the crowd, especially one gent beside me, loved the match, but the amount of heaving on that boy was not encouraging. Fammy Chicky strikes again. Not an issue for me. No, that's something he'll improve his cardio as he needs to. I mean, you look at Yota Tsuji 3 years ago, he was sucking wind in the middle of 15-minute matches. So yeah, that's just, something you develop, that kind of, the cardio to wrestling and pro wrestling matches with that kind of explosive, those little short bursts of high intensity followed by little down periods and things like that. So that's, again, it's his first ever match. The expectations have got to be curbed accordingly.
And I would also say this. So go through the history of pro wrestling, whether it be in the States, whether it be in Japan, and a lot of guys' first matches, where were they? In front of 50 people, in front of 100 people. Like there is something to be said about.
And how long were they as well?
Exactly. And what was on the line. Like, okay, your cardio probably will be impacted by the stress and the anxiety and the realization when you walk through that fucking curtain of, holy shit, there are 50,000 sets of eyeballs looking at me right now. And now I have to go do the match that I may have practiced quite a few times, but there's a big difference between doing that in front of a Tokyo Dome crowd, a ravenous Tokyo Dome crowd, with all the pressure that match had to deliver what it did. And again, I'm in front of 50 people in a high school gym.
Right, sixth match then was the IWGP World Heavyweight and IWGP Global Heavyweight Double Championship match, where the challenger, Yota Tsuji, defeated the champion, Konosuke Takeshita, 29 minutes, 20 seconds, via Boston fucking crap, motherfucker. Now, this was the other match that, to me, was of critical importance, that, we came away from this with Yota Tsuji looking like the guy. And again, let's take some time to throw flowers at the opponent. Takeshita, in retrospect, perfect choice of opponent here, and he carried himself to absolute perfection. The cocky, preening champion, full of swagger and arrogance. And this is exactly what we wanted from him from the moment he was even discussed as being joining New Japan Pro Wrestling, even when it was a part-time thing. This is what we said on this show, Damon. We wanted a dominant run with him as a heel invader from an outside promotion who holds the belt hostage and is then dethroned by a Noge Dojo guy at Wrestle Kingdom to bring back the Lion's Pride to New Japan. Now, they took a very weird and stupid way to get there with this, Unite the Pro Wrestling World thing and all the shenanigans during the G1. But they got there in the end. So I am not going to let good be the enemy of perfect here. And to me, it achieved what it needed to do in making Yota Tsuji look like the top boy in New Japan. He had aura, confidence, charisma. He was all business. There was, much less of the grinning for the big match entrance because he was all business here. He was fighting for the pride of the company. And the match was wrestled with that exact vibe in mind. It was nasty. It was hard hitting. It was animalistic and visceral. Like even the first rope break when Tsuji slapped Takeshita in the mouth to show what's up. Those slaps, the elbows, the knees, the headbutts. I love Tsuji working the body to set up the Gene Blaster. There's some moments of real creativity and brutality that stuck in my mind, like moment later on where Tsuji attempted the Gene Blaster and just ran headfirst into Takeshita's knee, crumpled into a heap. Or just that little moment where Takeshita was going for the Raging Fire and Tsuji there was that initial escape attempt which just repositioned him just a couple of feet to the left. So he was just close enough to get the rope break when Takeshita did land the Raging Fire. And we had the spectacular big match Tokyo Dome moments, the top rope Guerrero special, top rope Blue Thunder Bomb. And when the match kicked into those higher levels, it had everything I wanted from your tippy top Wrestle Kingdom match, where Takeshita getting the near fall with a Wagamama knee. So he decides to take off the knee pad, going for the kill shot. And all that Tsuji's got left is that desperation headbutt, that incredible shot of them going face to face. They're snarling and growling and then grinning at each other like two rutting stags, like quite literally butting heads and going back to their corners for one final charge because they know they've almost emptied the tank. They've got enough energy for one last shot here. The Wagamama versus the Gene Blaster. Just like a goddamn samurai movie. And then that roar from the crowd after Tsuji landed the Gene Blaster when he goes for the Boston Crab and they realize what's about to happen. It's just incredible drama. The perfect match for the spot and the build-up. And Yota Tsuji's improved so much as a wrestler, even over the last 18 months. His striking, his match pacing, his emoting. Think about the way he emoted in this match compared to Shota Umino 12 months prior in the same spot. And those the interstitial moments to connect between the high spots, the way he sold his injured neck was tremendous. That during that big strike exchange where they're throwing bombs at each other and then he's about to throw one and then he just collapses from the pain of his neck and Takeshita absolutely flattens him. The way that he worked the crowds, got them fired up, and he brought that fifth gear here, that big match rage that I like to see. He's roaring like a lion, and I don't think that's a performance, Damon. I don't think this is a guy playing pro wrestler. He knew how big this spot was, and he felt that. He's a New Japan fan like the rest of us. He speaks his truth. He doesn't give a fuck who he upsets, as Fightful will attest to. He is Shin-Nihon through and through, and I think this meant as much to him as it did to us. You could sense the emotion and the pride and his hunger to drag this company out of the slump and stop them from being the butt of every joke and AEW's little brother. And that moment where he blasted Takeshita out of his fucking boots and let out that guttural scream, I felt that in my bones. That was years of frustration and humiliation and resentment unleashed in one primal moment. Years of other companies circling like sharks and cherry picking New Japan's top talent and big leaguing them and making New Japan into a laughing stock, and white boys pretending to be ride or die Shin-Nihon to cash out of the first whiff of Tony's daddy's money. Yota Tsuji had enough of that shit, and what bigger statement than by tapping out the AEW Golden Boy in the middle of the Cerulean Blue at the Tokyo Dome on January 4th for the IWGP Championship with a Boston fucking Crab. And respect to Konosuke Takeshita for agreeing to look like a bitch. That was a ballsy finish, but the right one. Incredibly satisfying moment of catharsis for us that made me proud to be a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan. I was ready to run through a fucking wall after that shit. And look, Yota Tsuji has always been my guy. Sometimes you know it when you see a young lion. You take one look at them and you know, that's my guy. You can't really explain it, but you have that connection with him. And I wrote the Voices of Wrestling review covering the show with Tsuji's first ever televised match with the company. And look, I've been in on the ground floor with him from day one. The dojo rivalry as young lions with Yuya, the excursion in Rev Pro. I don't know if you remember that late replacement match with Ishii at Royal Quest.
Oh God, yeah.
That convinced me he was the future of this company. The explosive return at Dominion against Sanada, the New Japan Cup win, the frustration of watching him come so close in IWGP title matches and G1 finals and semi-finals. I'm fucking tearing my hair out when he lost to Evil. I was livid. I was absolutely beside myself when he didn't make it through to the finals. But now we see why, right? It all came together. Tearing my hair out as why they won't pull the trigger, but they finally did it. And I got to see my guy go from young lion to winning the big one in the Tokyo Dome. And that tastes sweeter than a Marlow pudding, if you'll excuse me. This is classic New Japan, Damon, isn't it? They deliver what you want. It's not quite when you want it. Took us a while to get there, but we're here. They've picked their guy. They've given that ball to Yota Tsuji. Let's see how far he can run with it, because he's done everything right. He's brought back the V4 belt, the IWGP Championship. He's the leader of Unbound Company. All hail our new ace.
I mean, look, this is why we're the best podcast on God's green earth when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling, because of that. The last 10 minutes of you just letting that out. I was worried going into this match, and my biggest concern was the future of New Japan Pro Wrestling, in the sense of, do we have a guy that can deliver a big spot match that's needed, especially on Wrestle Kingdom for the big boy belt? And I had my doubts. I didn't know. Because while we had really great matches, had we had a match that got me out of my seat, and it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I've been up since 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. You're looking for that moment of, I love pro wrestling and I have the energy now to run through a fucking wall. And I got it. And this match delivered it. And I was so happy, because for a lot of people that in even recent times that connected with New Japan Pro Wrestling, that was a major reason. Those big spotlight world title matches that, again, got you jumping out of your seat. What a finish, too. Like the finish. I'm glad that you mentioned the Boston Crab, because what an absolute cherry on top it was. I beat you with a move that from day one has been drilled into my head, and I'm speaking like I'm Tsuji here, drilled into my head to put guys away. And that was the first one that all of the young lions master. And you're the outsider. And I'm going to show you what New Japan Pro Wrestling is. So I thought that was really special. And you're right. I will tip my cap to Kesha, because, yeah, I mean, he could have been like, I ain't fucking, no, went along for the ride. I thought the match was spectacular. It delivered across the board. I worry, is it a matter of two guys having that chemistry to be able to pull that off in the big spot, in the big, okay, maybe, because it'd be great to see him do that with someone else. And again, that would be the same kind of thing that I would have said, 10 years ago with Okada and Tanahashi, or whatever, or AJ or whatever. Okay, you did it with him, but could you do it with him? It really felt good. It felt, what it felt like? It felt like the most comfortable chair in your house. It felt like you had a hard day at work and you saw the person that you love walk through the door, and it's Friday night. And for at least for a little bit, I can just take a deep breath and be like, we're okay. That's what those were the emotions that came over. It was like, we have our guy. Like make no mistake about it. We have our guy. Yeah, great match. Tremendous match. Worthy of being a Tokyo Dome main event. And I can't think of a higher compliment. I mean, when you look at that spot for countless pro wrestlers to be able to say, yep, I did that. And now to be able to say, okay, we could put you in that spot. Yeah. Look, we got what back to back. We're 2-0. We got what we wanted. And let's be honest here. That 2-0 were the two matches that I think everyone, just like you talked about at the hub, where everybody, a little nervous, a little apprehension, a little anxiety. They had to feel so good. And you could tell from the reaction of the crowd in the building. And that came across on television that, like, there were a lot of people that exhaled and were like, this is my comfy chair. This is my fucking comfy chair. And again, not only did you get a great match, but you have a direction. And once again, we're not sailing against the wind. Yeah, like that match, let me tell you something, dude. I was up. I was wide awake. I was raring to go. And that felt like a real comfortable spot for a lot of people, myself included.
Daryl says, is the world ready for the new most devastating maneuver in professional wrestling, the Boston Crab? What did you think of the finish to the match? I'm chuffed at the balls of this company and demonstrating this is a new era. I hope Tsuji shows up. Yeah, he used it against Gabe Kidd as well. So I like the fact, that he's not doing it as an insult. He's doing it as a way to reclaim the pride of New Japan. So he's showing the power of New Japan, the power of the dojo, that this basic move that they've been drilling since day one, since they set foot in the dojo, is enough to put away wrestlers who have not been through that, or even wrestlers who have been through that. Like, this is the ultimate move. And again, I love the way that he's reclaiming it and investing it and invigorating it with this power and ending the biggest match of his career, arguably the biggest IWGP title match for years and years and years. So it's a tremendous bit of symbolism and so smart and so bold. I love it, man. It's outstanding.
It is. And here's the thing too. If you go back to the 90s in All Japan and when they were at their, pinnacle, they were getting over moves like a headlock, a fucking headlock, dude. We're putting people away. If you make the moves mean something, then they mean something. Imagine the next time, Joel, he puts on that Boston Crab in a match. You don't think the place is going to go berserk? Yeah. A Boston Crab. Re-owning it. Reclaiming it. Love it. I truly did. I was out of the bed. I was out of my bed after that Boston Crab. Because I was just like, what a fucking cherry on top. Yeah, it rolled.
Yeah, that was my second moment of the night of jumping out of my chair.
Wow. Yeah, it was really great. And again, did you feel, you were always a ride or die Tsuji guy. Did it amplify the fact that did you just feel vindicated, or did it take it to another level? Like holy shit, we have a guy.
Yeah, all of the above. It just all, coalesced together into this one burning moment of joy and pride, not just for being a Tsuji guy, but just being a New Japan fan, again, making you proud of the line mark and having belief and faith in the guy who's doing it, that he's not just going to fuck off to AEW, that this means just as much to him as it does to us, that he believes in it, and you can't fake that.
Yeah, and it could have gone tits up. Like, wasn't there a sense of relief too that, oh my God, they did the right fucking thing? As much as we moaned about like the juniors match, like there was just such a sense of, oh my God, and again, the politics of wrestling, all of it. like you were just like, oh my God, they fucking got it right. Thank God.
Now, we've been bemoaning the fact that they didn't pull the trigger on him sooner. And I've sat on this show and pointed to other examples where they should have pulled the trigger. Do you think they are vindicated now in holding out this long for this moment?
I mean, I can't sit here and tell you, Joel, that this was the plan all along. I'm sure that there were a lot of obstacles and things that we might not know about that caused it to be delayed. It's easy to sit here and be Monday morning Booker and be like, oh, the payoff was worth the wait. Look, I'm glad they did the payoff. So that's a hard question. Look, we could still go. This match doesn't vindicate bad booking, right? It doesn't. That being said, the course correction is enough for me right now to kind of say, okay, we misfired for a decent amount of time. We and again, it's one show and 1 week and all of that. And let's see where we are in April. Let's see where we are in June. Let's see where we are in September. It does feel good, though. At least it feels like we have a sense of direction. So does it make up for all the questionable booking? No, it doesn't. But thank fucking God someone came to their senses and said, okay, we need to do this, and we need to do this way because there's a lot on the line. We talked about it, how important, maybe this was the most important Tokyo Dome show that this company has had in years, if not decade. It was important that they got it right. They got it right. You got to give them marks for this. I can't hold it against them for what fuck-ups they did before. It doesn't justify a lot of it, but there is a sense of, okay, at least somebody's come to their senses and we're in the right direction.
Because thinking about it now, Damon, it wouldn't shock me if this was the plan all along. Like, they knew, right, we've got this Tanahashi retirement. That's going to be our biggest Wrestle Kingdom. That is where we want to crown our new guy, new ace of the company. It's going to be Yota Tsuji. So if it's going to be Yota Tsuji, we can't have, Shota Umino winning the title before him, or a Ren Narita or a Yuya Uemura. He's got to be the first guy of the new generation to win it, and it's got to be at this Wrestle Kingdom on this Tanahashi retirement show, which means he can't win the title before then, so we're going to have all these, near misses with failed title matches and G1 semi-finals, G1 finals, and them kind of booking themselves into this corner of having to tread water and not belt up any of the next generation because they had Yota Tsuji at Wrestle Kingdom 20 and the Tanahashi retirement show earmarked as the moment where he wins the big one. And again, I'm just guessing here, like just purely devil's advocate, but I thought it was an interesting thought exercise.
No, I mean, like a year ago, we had Zach and Shota on top. You know what I mean? Like to me, that felt like just a waste, and yet they went ahead and did it. So I don't know. Look, I think that they might have had him earmarked for this moment. I just don't know, or am I 100% sold that they knew in advance that this was the moment. I think probably like around maybe the summer, they were like, okay, we're doing it here. I don't know if it was any time before then, because again, how weird this company was. I mean, we had Goto winning the fucking title. We had, and we all were like, well, David Finlay's got to win it, and then he didn't. Zach's run, 2 runs. Again, there's a lot of fucking weird shit with this company. So I can't answer that. I don't know if anybody can, but I'm guesstimating like around the summertime they were like, okay, here's where we pulled the trigger.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I've kind of convinced myself that they've had this in the works since he came back. But who knows? Again, I'm just hypothesizing here. Listeners, let me know what you think. Jersey Joe Gotch says, is the move at Wrestle Kingdom 20 away from the tough, hard-hitting traditional singles matches to more sports entertainment, a trend that will continue throughout the rest of the year in New Japan? Jersey Joe Gotch, I say this with love. You need to lay off the crack. Too much crack. That's enough.
Yeah, I thought this was.
Just put down.
I thought it was just the opposite of what he described. To be honest with you, I really did. I thought it was the opposite.
Antonio says Thorgoths on Wrestle Kingdom really enjoyed, especially Antonio's back. Like, what bigger sign that New Japan is back than Antonio's back? Great to hear from you. Thorgoths on Wrestle Kingdom really enjoyed, especially the last two matches. So here's my question: as we know, Tsuji brogged back the IWGP Heavyweight title. Question: when are going to see IWGP Intertitle back here? NJPW apparently didn't revive the title because WWE trademarked the Inter-Championship term and didn't brought because of that. Even tough, the term was trademarked in 20 and IWGP Intertitle was retired in 21. My question is, when are we going to see IWGP Intertitle? Is there a pastrami or scoop on that regard? The IWGP Global is okay, but I really miss IC belt. So question is, when are going to see that title back? Because I want that title. We all do. Thoughts on my question. Welcome back, Antonio. We've missed you.
My answer is eyes, no see title, Intercontinental. I honestly, I know it's going to get a little confusing because like title lineages kind of cross stream and one kind of blends into another now. Go follow, if you haven't already, Chris Samsa. He does a really good job of kind of mapping out each of the titles and where they meld into the other ones and where we are now. I don't expect the Intercontinental title to be coming back in any time soon. Sorry, Antonio.
I like what Tsuji laid out for the global title, that he says that's the title he's going to defend abroad against foreign scum, whereas the IWGP heavyweight title is going to be the pure title that only Japanese people are allowed to challenge for that.
Well,
no, he didn't say that. He strongly implied
right,
it
but at least you're going to have to pay for a fucking flight over. You know what I mean? Right? Show some commitment. We're not defending that title in fucking Trenton. Yes. By the way, no lineup whatsoever announced for this Trenton show, and ticket sales have been reflecting that. I would say they probably in the entire building, not to shit on the parade, in the entire building, they only sold, or excuse me, they only had made available probably less than half of the building's capacity, and even that half is probably half of it is available. So hopefully, if they announce some matches and get some buzz going, that ticket sales will move a little bit better than what we've seen. But no, Intercontinental title, don't expect to see that back anytime soon.
Chiba Man says, I know you get this a lot, but the V4 is out now. So are we back now? Is it reasonably safe to assume we won't see outsiders keeping the V4 in a suitcase throughout the year, since they're establishing that's what the global title is for? So yeah, how do we feel about Yota Tsuji bringing
1,000% love it. Look, I moaned when it happened, and I had people telling me, well, listen, I hated the design of the belt, number one. And they were like, well, Damon, you probably would have hated it no matter what it looked like. It could have looked like the coolest fucking belt in the world. I hated the belt. I hated the idea that they got rid of it. I feel like V4 is iconic. And yeah, we are back. Thank you. That was honestly, it's more symbolic than anything else of, okay, we are again, we're catching the wind. We're not fighting against the wind. I gotta be truthful. Fucking love it. Fucking Love it. It really feels like we're fighting for the real title instead of this fucking horseshit winged. Ugh, I fucking hated that title. Yeah, felt good. Love it. 1,000% behind it.
Yeah, I mean, that's Tsuji's whole thing, isn't it? Like, sorry to coin the Trumpism, but make New Japan great again. That's his whole deal.
We're canceled now.
Absolutely.
God damn it.
Right. Okay, now I think we should talk about Jake Lee. So they did the Kenta angle again. So Jake Lee did the run-in and attacked Yota Tsuji before he had a chance to do all his speaking. A little bit on the nose, very, very, very similar to what they did at Wrestle Kingdom 14.
You're jinx.
But I am, yeah. But I didn't mind it. I wasn't, furious that Yota Tsuji didn't get to run his mouth. He's had plenty of chance to do that. He did it at New Dash as well. And Jake Lee, look,
That's a choice.
I've seen it is a choice. It's a bold choice. I've not ever seen any evidence that Jake Lee has the tools to be a top guy in any company. But he doesn't have to be the top guy. He's Challenger of the Month, right? That's how I see this. This is a nice first defense for Tsuji. Breathe some life into United Empire. It makes him look like a threat. He's not white, so he probably won't leave. And it's relatively fresh and new. I thought he got a good pop from the crowd. And look, did we want them to go back to Zach or Goto or Gabe or Evil or Shota or Finlay? Like, let's give him a chance. Let's give Jake Lee a go. The match might well be a nothing burger. The tickets are doing well, from what I hear. I'm happy to wait and see. And I know it's not a gimmick that's going to land with everyone, but I'm finding him strangely charismatic with this, like, languid, detached, like almost childlike, borderline psychotic behavior, like playing with the title like it's a toy aeroplane, and the strange little jigs that he's doing in the ring, his bizarre body language and facial expressions. I find it all quite mesmerizing. He looks like an alien that's trying to copy how humans behave, but in a good way. And there was some interesting tension between him and Ospreay. Like, Ospreay was just sort of staring at him, and Jake was putting his hand out as if to kind of indicate, he didn't want to shake my hand. So just something to keep an eye on there. So yeah, I'm willing to give it a try, and I like the repackaging.
I don't think anybody asked for Jake Lee, right? And I get people like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, give Tsuji his moment. And if you're going to ruin it, make it anybody but Jake Lee. But considering the entire roster, I hear you loud and clear. Trust me, I'm not gigantically thrilled. That being said, if we need to establish a champion, like, we need to give him wins. I think that's important. So if Jake Lee's going to be fed to the dogs, then Jake Lee's going to be fed to the dogs. I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. It can be a good match. Again, I could probably count the great matches of Jake Lee on one hand and still have two fingers left over. That said, again, to me, it feels like we need to establish our champion, and we're going to feed him to the wolves, to the dogs. So okay, like if we look at it like that and not beyond, I think it's okay. We'll see what happens with the match itself. Who knows? Jake Lee's got a little bit of a new coat of paint. Okay, we'll see how that lands. But to me, at least, I'm hoping that this is a one and done. Let's establish a champion kind of thing.
Watch him win the title.
We're back to square one. I don't see that happening, but I just don't see that happening. I think we need to establish a champion.
Seventh match, Hiroshi Tanahashi retirement match, because it's got a card that defeats Hiroshi Tanahashi.
We have 15 minutes, and we're going to spend all 15 minutes with a boner. Go ahead. Start us off.
Yeah, 2 hours, 45 minutes into this thing, Damon, and we're just coming up to the main event. And look, we're playing with house money at this point. They smashed it with Aaron Wolf. They smashed it with Tsuji. So, yeah, we're just running on vibes and emotions at this point. And look, a real privilege to be in the building to witness the grandeur, the spectacle of the last ever Hiroshi Tanahashi entrance. There will never be anyone quite like him again. The robe, the hair, the explosions of color, the flames, like the man's an absolute rock star. And my only complaint was that we didn't get his original high energy theme in there somewhere. I said last week that I was optimistic and confident that they'd be able to write a unique, a new and final chapter to their story that wasn't just playing the hits. And they set it up with Okada saying that he was going to be Yankoid heel Okada. He came out with his butt rock music. He did the middle finger instead of the Rainmaker pose. And he's just being a dick, like repeatedly dropping Tanahashi on his head, like
pulling him up on 2 counts. Yep.
Yes, yeah, playing with his food. So I thought it was a really good foil for Tanahashi. Like, it's something you can say for all 3 guys in the top matches: Evil, Takeshita, Okada. They were all outstanding, playing their roles to perfection. So, the dominant story throughout the match of heel AEW, Okada not respecting Tanahashi enough to bring out the real Rainmaker until the end. And I think we all knew deep down that there was no way Tanahashi was winning this match. But I willingly worked myself into a shoot because I wanted to believe. I think if we'd gone into this match using our conventional wrestling logic brains, where there's no way that Okada, close to his prime, holding major AEW title, is going to lose to old man Tanahashi, that would have killed a lot of the drama and the magic. And I didn't have a problem with Okada winning. It makes sense that he wins, but I wanted to keep that little flame of hope alive. That was important to me, that he might just pull off the mother of all upsets in his last ever match. And I tell you, Damon, I bit when he locked in that sleeper hold. I knew what was coming. I was obnoxiously shouting, "Oh, PK Shibata!" And he duly delivered a kick with all the intensity of Arthur knocking down one of Fraser's snowmen. But then, as he moved on to the Bomaye, presumably led someone in Jacksonville to have an aneurysm. That's a joke, by the way. And then did the high fly flow. So, buoyed by the power of the 3 Musketeers, I was losing my shit. That was a mother of all near falls. I was like, he's going to do it. He's going to do the Shibata and the Nakamura and the high fly flow. He's going to win. And I'm going to die in a sense of pro wrestling nirvana. But of course, it didn't put Okada away because, this is pro wrestling. We don't always get what we want. But it was a beautifully told story where everything that Tanahashi threw at him wasn't quite enough to win the match, but it was enough for Okada to bring back the Rainmaker, even if just for a minute. And he hit that iconic pose, and he raised his eyes to the roof of the dome and looked around at this sold-out crowd and remembered, like, just for a moment, who he used to be, what he helped to build together with Tanahashi, and that roar of emotion and respect for his fallen rival. Like, that moment, the crowd finally cheered him. They were booing him the whole match, but when he brought the Rainmaker back, it was like acceptance and forgiveness. Like, the crowd acknowledged him as the Rainmaker once again. It was a really beautiful moment. And again, like, all it needed was, after the match finished, to play Okada's old New Japan theme to really bring it home. But it was a wonderful match, a fitting end to really an unparalleled career, like arguably the best retirement match if we're talking pure match quality perspective. I'm not even grading that on a curve. I thought the work was outstanding. And what a way to say goodbye to one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, who's going out on top with an outstanding match, even by his own astronomical standards, when so many other wrestlers' retirement matches are, let's be honest, a bit of an undignified limp over the finish line where they're well past their expiry date. But for Hiroshi Tanahashi to go out delivering a match of such excellence after one of the, if not the most physically grueling year of his whole career, that's a testament to what a sublime pro wrestler this man is and was. We have been truly blessed to live in his era. I know I'm going to be telling my kids and my grandkids about him until they're sick of hearing about it. It's one of these rare moments that unifies the entire wrestling fandom. There's never going to be anyone else like him. It was a perfect end to a perfect career.
I have 5 to 6 minutes to try to summarize what this match meant to me. It was maybe the greatest retirement match I've ever seen. I mean, that ranks right up there with like the original Funk retirement. That ranks right up there with, as you know, hokey as people poke at it. You know, the Flair retirement was pretty special. It's Kenta Kobashi retirement. But what made this special was Hiroshi Tanahashi giving his body in ways that you were just like, you don't have to do this, but thank you for doing it. The high fly flow to the fucking floor. When he hit the first one and he rolled him out and then got his knees up, trust me, I was like, oh, he had it. Again, all the tributes and callbacks to people that he influenced and feuded with and were partners with, and it was like I really was trying not to let the emotion of the match dictate how great the match was. And I truly believe that the match itself stands on its own as a great match, but the emotion, the drama, the passion, this is why we're pro wrestling fans. He left everything he had in the ring. And what an amazing career. He helped save a company that was in dire straits. We talk about, there's a lot of retirements, in pro wrestling, and Cena was one of them. And I can't sit here and tell you Cena was impactful to me in that WWE era, but he absolutely was important to the history of the company. But like, that machine was already built, and I feel like Hiroshi Tanahashi built the machine. He built everything that we have here today. Were there other people that had their hand in it? Of course. But like, to me, he's the guy that's fucking driving the boat. And that infrastructure wasn't there. And in fact, it wasn't even thought of. Like, the way pro wrestling was delivered in Japan during his beginning was completely different than what we have right now. It was very much shoot style, pride. That was the hot shit. Pro wrestling really was and especially the hit Hiroshi Tanahashi's vision of what pro wrestling is really took a back seat, and he brought life to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Were there other things that helped that? Yes, but you needed Hiroshi Tanahashi, and those are the things that I remember. The pageantry at the end was really great. Like, it was long as fuck, but it never felt like, oh, all right, enough, guys. When he did the fucking victory laps in that little carriage thing around the outfield, trust me, I was there for the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, I was into it. We were alive to see one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time. And we were alive to see one of the greatest New Japan pro wrestlers of all time. And you were in the building to send him off and show appreciation. So the match itself was really great. The match and the emotion when you add it to it, trust me, it was just spectacular pro wrestling. What a great night. What an absolute great night. He deserves all the flowers. He will always be one of my favorites. And yeah, he went out with grace. He went out with not only with grace, but he went out there with the tank empty. What a career. What a legend. And really, he's the reason why we do this show. He's the reason why Keeping It Strong Style does their show. He's the reason why Chris Charlton is where he is, and the books that he written, and the position that he's in right now. He's the reason Kevin Kelly got re-energized in pro wrestling. He's the reason why pro wrestlers Shinsuke Nakamura was re-energized by pro wrestling. one of the greatest of all time, and there's not many that can say that. Like, he is Mount Rushmore. He is, and especially for New Japan, one of the greatest pro wrestlers to ever step foot in the ring. So, what a moment! What a great match! Fantastic. I know we only have a handful of minutes, but Hiroshi Tanahashi and you know what, Kazuchika Okada, I got to tip my cap to him too, because he played it wonderfully. He really did, and he was there for it, and you could tell there was a special bond there. So my hat's off to him as well. 9,562 stars.
Just a quick word on the retirement ceremony. So we saw Jay White, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, all three guys who I think looked like they wished they were still wrestling in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then, a few more guys, but Naito was absolutely howling at that.
Oh, my God.
There's a great tweet from Ryan74 says, "Hey, Naito, you show up for Tanahashi's retirement. Sure, all I need is my New Japan theme playing, then my current theme playing, then a fake out. Then I'm going to make an entrance like I'm main eventing the whole show. And I want mic time. Oh, and Bushi." I just love like Tanahashi tapping his wrist, being like, "Fucking hurry up, my guy." He was waiting for Naito to come up. Zwiper says, "Do you think New Japan did Tanahashi justice with his retirement ceremony? It seems night and day when compared to the Fed's bungling of Cena's retirement."
Yeah, I think they did. I thought it was great between Naito, and again, for a few brief moments, wrestling politics was put aside. Naito was a shock to me coming out. Even Kota Ibushi and Kikuchi. Like, Kota Ibushi was, we saw it. We saw what kind of shape he was in. And Kikuchi helping him out of the ring, I don't know, it warmed my heart a little bit. So, at least for like a few minutes, pro wrestling politics was put aside, and they showed appreciation to a fellow warrior.
And that was Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, like I said at the start, to bring it full circle, I know we've had a rough few years. It's been absolute garbage at times. But when New Japan do get their shit together and hit a home run at the Tokyo Dome, there is not a single company on the planet that can come anywhere near to the electricity, the magic, and the prestige of Wrestle Kingdom. It doesn't matter how many New Japan wrestlers other companies might sign, or how many classic New Japan glory years matches and feuds they might rehash. How many flips and weapons and high spots they might crowbar into their main events to pander to the TikTok brain rot generation Yankois. They cannot hold a candle to the King of Sports.
1,000%. And again, I know we'll talk about Dash and maybe in a little bit more detail and the ramifications and everything that goes into it. And I know we're pressed for time just because we can't send over anything longer than 3 hours. But I'm so happy for you to have experienced that, you and your family, the whole trip. I love pro wrestling. Love you guys. I love the listeners. I'm high on life right now, so let's enjoy.
Perfect.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines. And we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy every week on the Voices of Wrestling Network.
Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-Star Match Game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney, and every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.